Louis Cardinals baseball. And this afternoon, we're at First Data Field in Port St. Lucie. Beautiful day as the St. Louis Cardinals will take on the New York Mets. And with Brad Thompson, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to St. Louis Cardinals baseball. A lot of excitement with 3 days to go down here in Florida. Reports are that the Cardinals have inked Paul Goldschmidt to a long-term extension, which would then make him a Cardinal, you would assume, for life.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was so much excitement around the trade itself. Getting Paul Goldschmidt here, he's been one of the best hitters in the league since he came on board. But the talk was, how do you keep him here? Is this going to be the next guy? Well, it sure sounds like it is, and the Cardinals have got themselves a fantastic one.
What do you think it means for the Cardinal lineup right now with Goldschmidt hitting either 2 or 3 for Mike Shield's club?
Well, I'll tell you what, you look at this lineup on paper, and you got to love it. Now, we realize that you got to go out and put it into practice, but wherever he fits, if it's 2 or 3, you know Matt Carpenter's leading off, you know Marcell Ozuna is batting 4th, and you know you've got a lot of danger at the top of that order.
It's interesting, too, the Cardinals and Goldschmidt. But specifically, the Cardinals talked about, well, let him get to camp. Let him get his feet wet. We'll talk about an extension, presuming that, things get going well in St. Louis, and we'll talk then. But then here we are at the end of camp, and again, the reports are he is inked to the extension.
Sometimes love just happens, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Right away. Sometimes you just know something is right, and it feels like that's what's going on here with the Cardinals and Paul Goldschmidt. Maybe it happened earlier than most expected. Maybe it happened earlier than Paul Goldschmidt expected, but sounds like it's happening.
Yeah, so Goldschmidt makes this lineup obviously better, and the Cardinals are picking things up. We saw that yesterday in Game 1 of the doubleheader. It was Dexter Fowler with a couple of home runs, and Marcell Ozuna starting to get things going, too.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was very nice to see, and I'm sure for Dexter Fowler. And Dexter has been doing spring training for a long time. He's played a ton, but it's still nice to get that rolling. A couple of home runs for him, get that confidence going. His swing has looked better and better. And for Marcell Ozuna, same thing. He's dealt with the shoulder and finally get that first home run out of the way, and a laser double to the right side as well. Look, it's about getting things going the right way before the season starts. We got a couple more days, and it's great to see those guys having some good ABs.
All right, we'll take a brief timeout. It's a 10 after first pitch here in Port St. Lucie. It's the Cardinals and the Mets. We do know who the 5th starter is for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's John Gant going here this afternoon against the Mets. John Gant will be in the bullpen for St. Louis. We'll talk about him, Dakota Hudson, and the rotation coming up. There's a look at John Gant, the starter today for the Cardinals. He was beat out in the rotation by Dakota Hudson, and Dakota Hudson will be the 5th starter for St. Louis. That's Brad Thompson. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're moments away from our first pitch here in Port St. Lucie, but the rotation for the Cardinals, we're now 6 days away from opening day. Miller Park next Thursday. We'll have that game for you on Fox Sports Midwest. We know at the top it's Miles Michaelis.
Well, Miles Michaelis has been great all year. He was fantastic last year, got himself a brand new contract, and he looks to anchor this staff. Flaherty is an emerging superstar. Adam Wainwright looked fantastic all spring. Michael Wacha is healthy and looks great. And as you mentioned, Dakota Hudson, he's got that turbo sinker, great slider, and he wins that 5th job. John Gant tonight, we'll get a chance to see him in various roles this year, but what a valuable piece he is.
All right, some other news to talk about in our game here this afternoon. It's the Mets and the Cardinals. A lot of the regulars in the lineup for Mike Shield's club. Sit back, relax, get set. It's Cardinals baseball. Comes your way next on Fox Sports Midwest. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By the 2019 Kia Sorento, the perfect getaway vehicle. Visit KiaDealers.com to learn more. And by Steak and Shake. Come into Steak and Shake and get 4 meals with 4 items for $4. 444. Get more for 4 only at Steak and Shake. 69 degrees here at First Data Field in Port St. Lucie, Florida, home to the New York Mets. And the Cardinals and the Mets meeting for the 5th and final time this spring. Harrison Bader will lead it off for the St. Louis Cardinals, followed by Jose Martinez, and then Paul Goldschmidt, Marcell Ozuna, Paul DeYoung, Yadier Molina, Colton Wong, Tommy Edman. He's had a very good camp. And the pitcher, John Gant. Hector Santiago, the lefty last year with the White Sox, went 6-3 with a 4.50 ERA. And so far this spring, an ERA of 9.45. Ouch.
That happens sometimes, Dan.
Working on things.
Well, no, he had one bad outing. His last time out against the Nationals, he gave up a six-piece McNugget, and that'll hurt every once in a while. It hurts your overall numbers, but Santiago has been very good, been a starter predominantly throughout his career, did work the 49 games last year, and will be a part of this bullpen here for the Mets this upcoming season.
The Mets have had the Cardinals number this spring. They're 3-0-1 against St. Louis in Grapefruit League play. Harrison Bader and an RBI, couple of hits in the Cardinals' victory against the Yankees at Roger Dean Stadium yesterday. The first pitch taken for a ball inside, and we are underway. Along with Brad Thompson, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and wherever you may be, we hope you enjoy Cardinals baseball here this afternoon. And Bader pops it back in foul, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
I like seeing the big aggressive hacks from Harrison Bader. We spent a lot of time talking about his speed, and he's got tons of it. We've seen it on display. The 3 stolen bases in a game the other day. Doesn't have any home runs yet this spring. He has got a bunch of pop in there. Wouldn't shock me at all to see him have a 20 home run season.
Jim Edmonds made the statement that he thinks he can be a 25 to 30 home run hitter at some point in his career.
I believe it. He's already done it in the minor leagues. He's proven it.
Inside corner. Larry Vanover, our home plate umpire. Cardinals 10-15-3 this spring. And the 2-2 way inside. Get out of this camp healthy. That's what most teams are saying right now.
Well, and overall, the Cardinals have been very fortunate, knock on wood, during this camp. A couple of injuries have popped up, but nothing too big.
Popped up. Darno giving chase, and the injury to Carlos Martinez. And what might this bullpen look like for St. Louis when he returns? And again, no indication as to whether or not he would be in a rotation or bullpen. Time will tell, but if he does go to the bullpen, my goodness, it would be lights out.
Yeah, it would be for sure. And once again, I guess we'll see exactly how the progression goes for him, where they believe there's a need.
Out to deep left field. Gomez back, looks up off the top of the wall, and Bader racing to second. Standing up, leadoff double, and just maybe a foot or two away from that home run. And a leadoff double, Harrison Bader.
Harrison Bader almost getting that first one. Santiago 3 times in a row tried to get in there, get in his kitchen, and Harrison does a good job of fighting some off. This one gets down, and he puts a hurting on it. Harrison can handle the ball very, very well on the inner half. And as soon as he hit that, he takes off. Harrison doesn't take anything for granted.
Well, the Cardinals have been busy extending players with contracts this spring, and here's one of them right off the bat. Jose Martinez, a 2-year deal. We've seen with Bader, Wong, Drew Robinson, who the Cardinals traded for in the offseason. Patrick Wisdom went to Texas, Robinson to St. Louis. That trio, they have been aggressive when on, and that includes trying to steal third base. Martinez pops it up with the bunt. It's caught, and it's a double play. Mets defensively, Carlos Gomez, the left fielder. Keon Broxton, the former Brewer, in center. Rajai Davis in right. McNeil, Rosario, Cano, Alonso. He's at first base. He's had a terrific spring for the Mets. And Travis d'Arnaud is behind the plate. Well, I guess Bader just thought that would get down.
Yeah, that's one of those things. That's the attention to detail. You'd rather do that now in spring training than a week from now against Milwaukee. But it's one you kind of got to see down. Obviously, Martinez got to get that thing on the ground. As you see the bunt attempt here, Martinez just gets this thing up in the air. That plays right in front of you. Bader's got to see McNeil crashing on that one.
So Paul Goldschmidt, reports are the extension 5 years. Picked up a home run earlier this week, and he hits that out of play. Got a nice round of applause moments ago. There's red in the seats here. Road game for the Cardinals here in Port St. Lucie, and apparently would have the physical today. And you'd have to think that the physical definitely would take place this morning. And he rips that down the left field line, and that's a fair ball down into the corner. And Goldschmidt will trot into second base. Put it this way, I don't think his agent would allow him any form or fashion to play in this game unless that
you make sure that physical
is taking place this morning.
He is good to go. You see him just drive the hands in right here and smash this thing. A couple of balls hit very hard already. And it is nice to see Goldschmidt once again. This hasn't we haven't had the press conference, haven't gone through all of these things, but it sounds like this is as close to a done deal as possible, and it is perfect. It is perfect for the Cardinals.
Ozuna hit by the pitch. We could see that with these right-handed batters, especially Bader and Goldschmidt, now Ozuna, he's trying to get in on these right-handers and gets way in here on Ozuna.
Well, and that's a difficult thing, and not even close right here. But with a guy like Ozuna, you know that if you make a mistake on the inner half for a strike, you know what he can do. We've already seen a couple of balls driven in this inning by Goldschmidt and Bader, and Santiago wants to make sure that he gets one in there. Unfortunately, gets in way too far. That's the last thing you need to see the last couple of days of spring training is guys getting hit. Luckily for Ozuna, kind of hit him in a good spot. Easy for me to say.
And there's the young, and pitch fouled back. Boy, you saw that quick bat of Paul Goldschmidt that we were talking about before the game as he turned on that pitch and lined it down the left field line. And then Ozuna hit by the pitch. So runners at first and second for Paul DeJong. And DeJong strokes it into center field, but right to Keon Broxton. Goldschmidt just turning on that pitch and the quick bat. Right away, let's turn to Brad Thompson's Toyota keys to the game.
Well, I know that offensively it has been tough sledding for the Cardinals so far this spring, but it was rolling yesterday. In the first game of the doubleheader, 11 runs against the Yankees, and you had some key contributors doing some big-time things. Keep that rolling. Get that momentum going. And the second one is attention to detail. Like I said, a couple of more days of spring training. It's easy to think about the future, but you still got to take care of stuff right here, right now.
John Gant, 7-6 last year. Some starts, worked out of the bullpen, and 26 games for the Cardinals. Jeff McNeil leads it off and cranks one down the right field line. It's hooking and home run distance, fair and gone. Long home run, Jeff McNeil. He just jumped on that pitch. And for McNeil, home run number 3 here in spring.
Whatever happened to seeing a pitch get a little comfortable? Whew. McNeil sees one he likes right off the bat. That's a fastball just belt high, and he jumped all over that. He was thinking one pitch, one spot, and he got it.
And that's pulled foul. McNeil, Alonso, Cano, Darno, Rosario, Broxton, Gomez, Davis, and Mauricio, the switch hitter, and that's lined up the middle, but the shift was on, and Colton Wong makes the play. 2 hard hit balls by the Mets, and it brings in Robinson Cano.
Well, these shifts don't just happen. There are tendencies, and there's one right there. You got Colton Wong, well placed. You're playing that straight up. That's definitely a knock.
So with one out, here's Cano. He's got one of the prettiest swings in the game. Robinson Cano. His former agent is now the general manager of the Mets.
Got a couple of guys in that situation, don't they?
Yeah, Jacob deGrom. And the Mets, really a situation that's kind of tricky. Jacob deGrom has said, free agent to be, that he would like his contract situation, the reigning Cy Young Award winner of the National League, he would like his contract settled if it's going to be extended by the end of spring training. And that's a single into center, and that's now 3 ropes hit by the Mets as Cano singles into center field. And now his agent, the GM, has got to negotiate against his client, if you will, former client.
It's a weird situation. It's probably one, though, where there are certain advantages that go with it. You understand where the middle ground is going to be, and there are relationships there. But if you're going to get something done by opening day, that better get done here quickly. We've seen a lot more guys signing their contracts and others being rumored to be close to ones. It's that time of year.
And a ground ball in the hole past the Young and into left field. Travis d'Arnaud, a base hit.
Oh, we're seeing these Mets hitters just being very aggressive, jumping on the first fastball that they're seeing. And you end up seeing this one from Gant trying to go in a little bit more, just leaks out over the middle of the plate. But when a team is being aggressive against you, you can use that to your advantage. It's all about just having a well-located pitch. That swing on a nice down and away fastball could be a ground ball double play.
Ahmed Rosario, he'll be the everyday shortstop for New York. .333 this spring, and there's a strike. For Gant, one of the issues at times can be, as a starter we've seen it, Brad, it's been long, extended innings. It's got great stuff, just sometimes it's long innings.
Yeah, for sure, and you got to just be able to do yourself some favors. Sometimes you just can't do anything about where the ball's hit. Innings are going to get extended, but you got to get yourself back into it. The main thing is pumping strikes. Now, he's been doing that so far. They've been jumping on it. So what do? How do you counter? We see him already this inning. He starts off Rosario with an off-speed pitch, then throws the fastball. We've seen him a lot this spring. We saw it last year as well, finishing hitters with that fastball up in the zone. Just getting right back into it.
Runners at first and second for Ahmed Rosario, the shortstop today for the Mets. And a potential double play out there in the turn, and they got him. Double play. Started by Tommy Edman, the turn by Wong over to Paul Goldschmidt. The home run by McNeil. Mets on top. Cardinals spring training baseball is always live with MLB at Bat, and you can follow the action through game day. Watch video highlights, track stats, standings, breaking news, and more. Download MLB at Bat now, and this is your #1 Cardinals app. We hope to visit with that man right there, the Wizard, Cardinals Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. It was just amazing what he did for the city and Belle Reve Country Club and the PGA Championship, and today is kind of the official passing of the torch, if you will, for the PGA Championship, be it Bethpage Black, and that's David Wright, who is kind of the spokesman for this year's championship, headed to New York. So from Ozzie to David Wright, and we hope to visit with both coming up in our telecast.
Yeah, that is a pretty good passing of the torch. That was so cool. The PGA Championship there, you know, in St. Louis. So much energy around it. And honestly, I didn't really know the history as well of golf. There is so much tradition in St. Louis. So many beautiful courses out there. And they did a fantastic job.
All the tickets, the amount of people that came out. Here's Yadier Molina, followed by Colton Wong and Tommy Edman. And again, trying to go in on these right-handed batters.
Yeah, and it's something he's been working on. He's got to make sure he's able to get in there. Be totally fine, though, if Yachty steps 1 foot in the bucket at this point. I know he would. He'd never give away an at-bat, but we are so close to the season. You don't want to see another mistake. We already see Santiago. He hit Ozuna in the back, not even close on one.
And a leadoff walk. So Molina aboard, and now Colton Wong. One of the storylines of this camp for the Cardinals has been at times a lack of offense. I asked John Mozeliak about that the other day, the president of baseball operations, and just point blank asked him, are you concerned? He said, not really. You've got veterans, and old phrase in baseball, don't believe what you see in spring. Don't believe what you see with young players, especially in September. And we have veterans on this team, and guys are working on things, so I'm not overly concerned.
Oh, you've got a lot of players with track records, and I'd rather believe what I've seen over the years than believe a couple weeks full of at-bats. You got a lot of different guys working on different things, different approaches, trying to get ready for the season. It matters come Thursday. It matters when the opening day is here. The numbers actually count, but as long as everybody's healthy, getting in their reps right now, that's what it's all about for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Noticed also in this camp by Mike Schilt, he has played the everyday lineup more. The guys that you'll see in that everyday lineup a little bit more than in the last few years. And combinations, saying, you know, like Wong and DeYoung up the middle, those kind of guys, double play combinations, those kind of things, or relays, Bader to DeYoung, Bader to Wong, those kind of things.
You'd like to keep as much continuity as possible, and you'd like to have these guys working together so they're ready and build for the regular season. And a lot of times guys are asking for ABs and wanting to be out there and getting those reps. I know that's certainly been the case on the flip side for the Mets. Robinson Cano has had a monster spring. He's hitting over 400. He looks great. We saw him drive a ball early on, but he's been asking for ABs. He wants to be in there every single day.
3 balls and a strike. Colton Wong with Molina, the runner at first base. Now 3-2. Mets last year, terrific start, 11-1. And then they won 66 games the rest of the way and finished up 77-85 and third in the NL East. Wong pops it foul. It'll be a fun division. Phillies, Nationals, Mets. It's going to be fun.
Great. No, it's going to be great. And the Central is going to be awesome as well. I think that when you look out to the West, I see the Dodgers ahead, but the Rockies had a great year. A lot of young pitching that took some strides last year. But certainly the East is going to be a difficult one to win and a fun one to watch.
We see a lot of the Marlins, and scouts are everywhere in these camps. Marlins, 11 straight wins. And they have surprised a lot of people, and you go with caution with what you see, but they feel, many of the scouts, that the Marlins are actually much better than people believe that they might be. That is hit out to left center, well hit, and it's down. Molina stops between second and third and held up. Wasn't sure if that ball was caught, and he was running on the pitch. So he had to make sure it wasn't caught and then get going again. Pop Warner holds him up at third base as Wong is looking back as if to say, wait a minute, why didn't he score? But with nobody out, no chances, and it's second and third for the Cardinals.
Well, you see Colton gets one belt high and just drives it the other way. It's nice to see him do that. We've seen a lot of pull power from Colton. Don't generally see him going in that gap. Hits this well, and then you see Yachty going off the bat. Seeing the ball, I think he's just kind of blocked there a little bit. His vantage point, couldn't quite see if it was caught or down. Regular season, maybe you're pushing it a little bit. Certainly not right now.
Switch hitter Tommy Edman opened up a lot of eyes in this camp. Cardinals know they have a good player in Edman. Can play second, short, and third. And with a lot of movement that's happening at AA and AAA, might be a third baseman at AAA, but he has played everywhere on the infield in this camp and performed well.
Well, you hope there are no injuries throughout the season, although we know that they happen.
And that's a base hit into right. One run is in. Here comes Wong, and he'll score. Tommy Edman delivers, and it's a 2-1 St. Louis lead.
But if there is, and there's an opening, Tommy Edman is going to be a guy that's knocking at the door. Both sides of the plate, drives the ball, plays fantastic defense, and a guy that I know the organization is very, very high on. That pitch is away, and he hits it that way. Not trying to do a lot, just barrel the ball. He's got gap-to-gap power. He can hit home runs, but he hits the ball where it's pitched.
Cardinals did make an announcement today that the backup catcher will be Matt Wieters. So they DFA'd Chasen Shreve to make room on the 40-man roster for Matt Wieters. So that's one spot on the bench that you do know about. Now, still uncertain at this point. Jed Jerko and his sore calf. Jairo Munoz, would you feel comfortable with him if Paul DeJong went down and playing shortstop? Drew Robinson has shown he can play shortstop. On the 40-man, you have Edmundo Sosa, that is a very good defender. But my point in bringing all this up is the guy at first base running right now, Tommy Edman, can play shortstop and a switch hitter. So that's why, you know, these camps are so important to have a good camp if you're like Tommy Edman and show the versatility. For sure.
And I don't know if Tommy Edman, I think he's done enough to put himself in the conversation for the right here, right now. I think that it might be a smaller group of players that they're pulling from for this last decision. But, man, you can never pick a bad time to make a good impression. And Tommy Edman has done a lot of that. And it will be very interesting to see how this roster shakes out. I think the news of Chasen Shreve being DFA'd, I think a lot of people had him kind of penciled in as just being that other lefty. He was out of options and thought that he was going to be there. So now there's intrigue in the bullpen. Who ends up getting that last spot? I mean, they could very well go with one lefty and Andrew Miller. You don't see it very often, but there's a crunch down there. You've got guys like Brebbia who've done nothing but throw the ball great. Gant, as we see on the bump today and hitting right now, he's going to be a part of that mix. I mean, there is a crunch going on right now in spring training.
1 ball, 1 strike. Gant squaring to bunt and gets it down. Sacrifice is good. Edman to second base. And that's out number 1. Going back to Harrison Bader back in the first inning. He started to feel it here.
We just see him. He had been worked inside this entire at-bat. Fouled a couple off. Giving himself more and more opportunities. Then gets one on the inner half. Down a little bit. He drops the head. We talked about the power that he has. That thing about a foot away from getting out of the ballpark would have been his first home run in the spring. Maybe save those home runs for later.
And a check on Tommy Edman at second base. We saw that Bader took the ball up the middle a couple of times in the ballgame yesterday. And doing it with authority. And when he gets on, it's havoc with his speed.
Yes.
The difference that he can make for the Cardinals offensively. And he taps that one foul. Cardinals also have worked extensively with Bader at times, the backfield's bunting. You know, trying to add another element, a wrinkle to his game because of the speed. Just, you know, either it's pushing it to the right side. We saw the Marlins this last week actually shift against Bader. Now, they're not going to do that in this spot with a runner at second base, but they shifted 3 men on the left side against him. Would teams want to do that against him? A 1 pitch. A high pop-up, shallow left, racing in. Gomez shading from the sun and makes the catch. And with 2 outs, it's Jose Martinez. Big gap in left center field. It's a big ballpark. 338 down the left field line, 410 to center, and 338 down the right field line.
2 outs. Forgot about the bunt. There was 1 out. They were all.
And a ground ball to Ahmed Rosario. Molina walked. Wong the double. And then Tommy Edman would bring him in. Going to right. And the Cardinals on top midway through 2. Well, the Cardinals oh so close, if you will, the last 3 years, but unusual in recent history to see the Cardinals not in postseason play. And so they go out and say, well, let's go get Paul Goldschmidt, Andrew Miller. Let's go for it. And they've done that.
Enough is enough, right? Yeah, nobody is used to this. Seen so much success from this organization over the years. And it's not like they've been out of it the last couple of years. There's been some entertaining baseball down the stretch. But when you're used to being in the postseason, entertaining in September doesn't quite cut it. It's all about October. And they made some October moves to get right back into this thing. This division's going to be good. Milwaukee, who we're going to see here in just a couple of days, they're going to be very, very good. The Cubs are going to be very good. The Reds are much improved. The Pirates are always in the conversation.
And a base hit at left. Since the start of the 2013 season, and the base hit by Keon Broxton, Goldschmidt has produced a total of 32.7 F4. I mean, that's astronomical for those that are in advanced sabermetrics, and I know we have some that don't like sabermetrics and some that do. So
just
I try
give it in doses, Dan. Don't give a ton.
I'm just spreading it out a little bit. So
I'm guessing Mike Trout is the only one in that conversation.
There's a handful, if you will, and that's impressive. Goldschmidt has a couple of toddlers, and he is all about baseballs. I've gotten a chance to be around him briefly, not a lot, and I'm supposed to visit with him this weekend, and it just happens to fall on a weekend that he's going to sign a big contract, apparently.
Oh, worked out quite well, didn't it?
It really did. I can tell you this, though. I've seen him on the backfields, and I've been down here since early February. Brad, there is nobody that I've seen that's worked harder. I mean that sincerely. I mean, he is very businesslike in his craft. And I mean, on simple things, just like he's doing right now, about how he comes off the bag, and they work on a lot of little things, whether it be a throw over, they do with the pitching machine, you know, the picks with a first baseman, how you come off the bag, the adjustment with that, the PFP. I mean, he's just very, very businesslike in all of it. And here in camp, there's a lot of the younger players. The hit and run was on, and Ozuna gets it back in quickly with a one-hopper into second base. That was a strong enough throw. That'll play just fine.
Throw looked very good. Yeah, back to the Goldschmidt conversation. It just goes back to the little things about being meticulous in what you do. He would still be a star in this game even if he didn't do some of the little things, but he cares enough to do so. And when you look back at the big contracts that the Cardinals have given out over the last couple of years, you see the same type of things. Matt Holliday was an incredible worker and somebody that you could just see go about his business, and you wanted to do stuff like him. We know how meticulous, how hard Albert Pujols worked over the years. This guy falls in line of being one of those guys.
Inside. Rajah Davis, runners at first and third. I've mentioned that a couple of times. After about 10, maybe 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, I asked one of the Cardinals personnel, I said, how would you describe Goldschmidt? They're behind the scenes. They said Chris Carpenter-like in his approach to baseball, but without the edge. Very business-like in the game of baseball, but without the complete edge of Carp.
Okay, that's a good combination to have. So you could actually look him in the eye sometimes.
I said, so I can say hello to him on a game day? Oh, yeah, he'll talk to you.
Good.
I said, great.
That's going to be tough for a guy that plays about 158, 160 games a year if you couldn't say hello.
Goldschmidt has a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and Mike Schild, one of the things that he has done is try to really create the family aspect, atmosphere for the players and wives and the kids. And after a game, you'll walk out of the clubhouse and there's a bouncy house for the kids and a barbecue going on.
That's great.
And, you know, being a former player, Brad, you can understand this. It's long days down here. And, you know, let's face it. I mean, they're baseball players. It's not like they're, you know, it's not a real job, if you will.
It's kind of, I get it, all
okay,
right?
I mean, it's baseball.
You're not retarring a roof in the summer.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's a profession. It's a job, and that's a walk, and the bases are loaded. But the players have really gravitated towards that aspect of the community of a family and coming together, the wives being together, the kids playing with each other, and they appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to asking Paul about this. Was that something, and I'm not saying that's a reason why you sign a contract, but was it just
it helps, man.
Just a little thing that you liked, you know, seeing that, being around your teammates? Did you gravitate towards little things like that you appreciated initially? I've heard things like that, but I want to ask him. Here's Mauricio, the designated hitter.
Yeah, I love that. I love that aspect of it. Now, when I was playing, I didn't have my kids. My kids are now 5 and 3, but days are long. Once again, there are way tougher jobs out there to do on a day-to-day basis, but days are long. You don't get to see the family very often, and to be able to incorporate that, I think it helps the guys, it helps individuals, and it helps the families, too, to be able to be around. I love it. I mean, and it seems like that is right up Paul Goldschmidt's alley.
Bases loaded. 1-0 pitch.
There's that nasty changeup right there. We've seen a couple of off-speed offerings from Gant. Mets have been jumping on the fastball against him. You see here 1-0. He goes with the Vulcan, pulls the string. You see that thing just drop off the table.
This young man was born in April of 2001.
I'm sorry, what?
Mauricio, a switch hitter. Ronnie Mauricio.
You've got some numbers misplaced or something.
No, sir. I do love this part of spring training, seeing these young kids come up and have a chance.
Well,
it's fun.
It's one of those things. You look at this, and I know the organization is very high on Mauricio. A couple of years, I mean, he's going to be a guy that you're probably talking about at Citi Field. You know, it's fun to be able to see him right in the beginning. Feel the same way about a couple of the Cardinal guys. Nolan Gorman, young man, showed off some big-time power already in big league games. Dylan Carlson, who I know you've been very high on all spring. It's fun to see these guys.
Out to center, and the catch made by Bader. That'll score a run. April of 2001, and he picks up an RBI. Drives in Broxton. Ball game tied 2-2.
Well, this ball is hit hard, and Harrison Bader breaks back. The wind knocks it down. He does a good job of making an adjustment, getting in a good position to throw. You're not going to get the runner from third, but get the ball back in quickly. Just small details. The wind is crazy out here in Florida. You just never know. It's not game to game. I mean, it's inning to inning. It'll end up shifting on you, so you got to really keep that in mind out in the outfield.
There's Jeff McNeil, and a breaking ball pulled foul. Yeah, any of these ballparks down here, it's inning to inning.
Yeah. You see that wind blowing out to right field. Obviously, that's what that Jeff McNeil home run off the bat was all about. All right, maybe not. Maybe not totally the wind. He got a piece of one. We have definitely seen the Mets hopping on fastballs. They're not letting any good pitches over the middle of the plate, letting them go. They're being very aggressive here. Got to be able to execute down.
Ooh, the Cardinals catch a break. You can see from our vantage point, which is almost right behind home plate. Throw was offline and hit the runner, and if it doesn't hit the runner, that's in center field without question.
It's one of those things you work on here. You see that vantage point way offline. Might have been tough for him to get to third. Bader was crashing from center, but you'd rather work on that now. Get those throws out of the way. That's something they do tirelessly on the backfield. You're working on your pickoffs, you're working on your timing, and I realize that from this standpoint, from up high or watching at home, it looks difficult, but there's a lot of different things that go into it.
Cardinal pitching 22 errors last year, and it was, as a team, a ton of errors, most in baseball, but the pitching staff alone 22, so they're trying to clean that up. I would think with Goldschmidt at first, Wong at second, right side of the infield, very, very good. DeYoung, solid. Carpenter has improved in terms of his arm strength, changed the motion.
He grades out very well, by the way, over at third base when it comes to, once again, the advanced numbers.
To his credit, he's really improved the arm strength. Ground ball. Wong will go to second. And it'll be runners at the corners for Alonso. We'll take a look at the errors by position last year, and I'll say this. I mean, Jose Martinez, it was tough. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He had a bad year defensively at first base. Put in the work, just didn't work out, and he's a outfielder by trade, and so the Cardinals will clean that up at first base undoubtedly.
You're going to see all of those numbers around the infield drop just due to Goldschmidt being there. There are a lot of plays that end up being errors that he's going to pick, plays that he is going to make over there. And back to your point about Jose Martinez being down at the field, and Dan, you're there every day. He was always working at first base. He was always down there with Oli Marmol and with Jose Kendo, trying to get better and better on the footwork. Look, just didn't happen. Didn't happen for him. His bat played. He's going to figure out ways to get himself into the lineup. But defensively, and I know that has been a focus for Mike Shildt for the Cardinals this spring, is to clean things up. They're going to be a lot better defensively.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Alonso. Breaks his bat and a base hit into center field. He has had a tremendous spring for the Mets. All he's done is hit, and he puts him back on top 3-2.
You see this thing away, he just ends up still getting. Didn't look like he hit a terrible part of the bat on it. I think that blew up on him. As you mentioned, a huge spring. Pete Alonso, I don't know if that was going to be the case coming into spring training, but it has fought like crazy and very likely could be a part of this opening day roster for the Mets.
They've got Dominic Smith, who is a top draft choice, first-round pick from a few years ago that is starting to come into his own as well. And now Robinson Cano.
The Mets have been adamant that they are going to take with them what they believe to be their best 25 players. It's kind of hard with the spring that Alonso had. As you see Mickey Callaway there in the dugout in his second year, it's kind of hard to say he's not one of those guys. Same thing with Dominic Smith. He's been great. J.D. Davis has been fantastic as well. A lot of good options for the Mets this year.
So 2 outs and 2 on. Runners at first and second. Cano singled to center his first time up. Comes over from Seattle, along with the game's top closer with 57 saves a year ago, at least in terms of numbers. So the back end of the bullpen for the Mets, they re-signed Jerry's Familia as well. So the 8th and 9th innings could be really good for New York.
They are very good. Santiago, who's on the bump, is probably going to be a part of that bullpen as well. But if you get to 8-9 with the lead, and Familia's had tons of success with the Mets, and it was kind of a foregone conclusion they'd bring him back, they're going to be really good.
Cano pops it up. The outfield grass handled by DeYoung. Coming up, Paul Goldschmidt, Ozuna, and DeYoung. It's going to be fun, Cardinal fans. He's yours for years to come. Paul Goldschmidt due up when we come back. You can join us on April 7th. 30,000 fans 16 and older take home a hooded windbreaker courtesy of Old Dominion Freight Line as Goldschmidt looks at a ball. And kids 15 and younger receive a free ticket voucher that day as well. That's April 7th. Here is Paul Goldschmidt, who doubled down the left field line. Reminder that only a few, and I mean really limited number of opening day tickets are available. And there's a high fly ball into deep right center at the wall, and it's gone. He has tremendous power. I mean tremendous power. The opposite way. You're gonna love him. Paul Goldschmidt, second home run this spring, and he's 2 for 2. I mean, can you have a better 24 hours than that guy?
This is pretty good. This is pretty good. You get a 5-year extension, and then you do this. This would have looked good without the knowledge of that. But then to know that this guy is going to be yours through 2024, and you see him just wait on this thing, had a couple of off-speed pitches away you saw, and then drives the heater. And you mentioned the fact that he sprays the ball around. You look at his spread chart. Look at all the home runs that he's hit throughout his career. They are all over the place. He hits the ball where it's pitched. He's got big-time pop the other way. And there's just a little more proof. Getting hot at the right time.
They talk about how he allows the ball to get deep. There's a good look at it.
Just see how balanced he is. If he doesn't wait for that thing gets caught up in the air. He lets it travel, and there you go.
I don't know about you. You know, we only would see him, you know, maybe 6 times a year. And, you know, we go on the field, we watch BP, we talk to some of the players. Cardinal players we see all the time. Visiting players, you know, you get a few looks at him.
Yeah, here and there.
Yeah. Now, he's a big guy. Clearly. I mean, you don't hit a ball like that as Santiago slipped on that pitch. Paul Goldschmidt is put together. He's in great shape, strong. I mean, you don't hit a ball into the gap in this type of ballpark that far unless you're really strong.
Yes, well, really strong and really fundamentally sound.
That's right. But he is more compact, and I thought he was bigger than he was going to be. He's just really strong.
Yeah.
I just thought he was more of a bigger guy, but what it tells me is that he is more mobile, agile, runs better than I thought. And I knew he could run. I just didn't realize after watching him now up close for a month, he runs a lot better than I realized.
Yeah, you see it in every aspect of his game. And the bat is the bat oftentimes is what you're paying for as an organization. And that's what you want. You want the bop, and you want the guy in the middle of the order that you know is going to be there and going to be the guy that the opposition doesn't want to see. But he runs really, really well. He'll steal bags. He's a smart base runner. We already talked about how great he is over around the bag at first, how agile, how well he moves. He's got it all.
Now Paul DeYoung. It's Jeff Albert who he's talking to, is the hitting coach of the Cardinals, first year in St. Louis, but back in the organization. And DeYoung hits a high fly ball into left center at the wall, and Broxton couldn't come up with it, battling the sun. And Ozuna to third. Normally, and Keon Broxton is a really good defender. Normally he comes up with that, but was battling the sun down here in Florida, and it's a double for Paul DeYoung. Talked to a long time to Paul after the game, and he said, Dan, you know, I feel like I'm locked in. I feel like some of the balls I'm hitting down here are home runs that they just don't carry sometimes here.
Yep.
And in regular season play, they're home runs. That might have been one of them.
Oh, no doubt about it. I think he had one yesterday that he drove foul down the left field line.
That's what we were talking about.
You know that he's getting really close. And you know, we've seen it already at the big league level when it comes to Paul DeYoung. He doesn't have anything to prove. He just has his swing, just getting right, getting that timing down, and we're seeing a little bit of it there.
I said, what are you looking to accomplish? And he looked me straight in the eye. He said, I want to be the best. He said, real simply, he said, I just, greatness. I want to be the best. Paul's going to have a good year. Here's Yadier Molina, who walked and looks at a strike. I liked it, too. I said to Paul, would you prefer shortstop or third base? And I mean, no hesitation. He said, I'm a shortstop. I want to be in the middle of the action. I want to be that guy. I really prefer being the shortstop.
We've seen him get better and better at the position, too. And just like anything else, it's going to be reps. And we've seen the organization do a very good job of, we see the shifts all the time, putting him in a good position. But his instincts have gotten a lot better, too. He reacts very well, and I think we'll continue to see him grow. You mentioned earlier the combination of him and Colton Wong and seeing a lot of them together in spring training. That's a really good double play combo, the two of them, and you see how well they work together.
There's a look at the alignment of the Mets. And there's a souvenir. Serves it into right field. Base hit for Yadi. One run is in, and here comes another. Yadier Molina.
I feel like we've seen that one a time or two. You get a breaking ball up in the zone, away a little bit, and he just serves it right over there. You see Paul DeYoung sees it, knows it's going to be over, gets a great jump. And a couple of more driven in. And the offense yesterday for the Cardinals had it going in game one. 11 runs against the Yankees. Got 5 so far here against Hector Santiago and the Mets.
Colton Wong now doubled. Run scored back in inning number 2. Short lead at first by the Cardinals catcher. And the pitch taken for a ball. Well, the great Tommy is our director, and he is locked in as always, Brad.
He certainly is. He loves his baseball, too. Doesn't matter if it's almost the last game of spring training, middle of the season, postseason. Same Tommy all the time.
Year number 32 for Tommy. Directing and producing Cardinals baseball, and I hear the same jokes night after night after night. Year number 22 for me.
So you know what's coming usually?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oldies but goodies?
Oldies but goodies. 22 years for me. Usually it involves a shirt, a canary, Richard Simmons. Let me think about what else are some of his favorites.
A lot of go-tos, though.
Oh, some of the greats.
I think that's a challenge for Tommy. Come up with some new material here. See if he can throw Dan off.
The Richard Simmons one did. The Lovely Larry in Chicago did throw me off my game. Lovely Larry in Chicago in the bleachers. I can't quite tell you what the
Who's
joke.
Lovely Larry?
I can't go there. But if you could only hear, folks, what goes on in my headset, it would be some of the best television you ever heard in your life.
Your head in general, probably.
Probably right. That's the thing. Sometimes we bring people up to the booth. We give them the we have a spare headset. I said, put this on. And they think, oh, well, you guys just talk. There's nothing else going on. Oh, they have no idea.
There's plenty.
Runner goes. That's Molina. It's fouled back. And that stuff that's going on in our headset with Brian Shapiro and Tom Mee has nothing to do with helping us do the game. It has everything to do with entertaining us outside of the game.
Which is appreciated.
Well, of course.
Not that we need any more. I mean,
well,
here
they
it is
do a
in
great
front of
job.
us. Yeah.
They're amazing at what they do. They're highly talented. They're the best in the world at what they do. But again, Tom Mee chiming in right at the right moments. Thank you, Tom. And that pitch taken high. So against a lefty, Wong is on base for the second time.
Hector Santiago struggling at this point. 61 pitches. Nobody out in the third inning. Having a rough go at it. His last outing against the Nationals, 7 hits, 6 runs out of the pen.
My understanding is we get to put that headset to use next inning with Ozzie Smith. We'll see if he wants to show up and actually have Tom Mee talk to Ozzie. Ground ball off the bat of Edman. Can they turn two? Cano, quick turn, got him. Boy, what a turn by Robinson Cano. I mean, first of all, you appreciate the sweet swing. But man, is he
got a lot left in the
bag.
tank. I know a lot of people were excited, and rightfully so, about the deal and bringing over Diaz. By the way, Yachty does as good of a job as he can to shade that, to get in the way of Rosario over at short, to no avail. Edman running hard, and just a very nice turn. Quick hands. I was watching him play catch. Robinson Cano play catch before the game, and he just always works on that. For him, it's second nature, just how fast he gets the ball out of his glove.
And now John Gant. Gant sacrifice back in the second inning. Lefty warming up for the Mets in their bullpen.
Nice sack bunt last time up. I mean, this is more of his situation, though. Just hit a homer.
So you grew up in Vegas.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite team?
You know what? I grew up following. I love the A's, because who didn't like the Bash Brothers back in the day? But I also ended up following anywhere Greg Maddux was, which caught me watching some Cubs games growing up. And it also caught me with a lot of Atlanta Braves games.
My favorite player,
Yes.
Ozzie Smith.
I'm getting out of here.
Oh, no, you're going to stay right here. Let's hope Ozzie joins us. Goldie goes deep. Well, Ozzie Smith was the host city champion for the 100th PGA Championship in St. Louis last year. And the honor celebrated Ozzy's strong values, his commitment to St. Louis, PGA reach, and his love, of course, of the game of golf. And he joins us now, the Hall of Famer. Great to see you, Wizard.
Great to see you, Dan.
How you doing?
I got to tell people.
What?
Before I got in, before I sat down, first thing he does, got 2 balls for you, son. Just like a green fly, you know.
You know why I did that? You know why? Because Brad was too nervous to ask you.
Oh, it's
That's
for Brad.
what it was. It was for Brad. So
I'm new to this partnership.
You know, I had to do it.
Shame on you, Brad.
I had to do it. I mean, Brad was too nervous to ask you, so I.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I feel better now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, he didn't. It was for me. Because I do it for charity.
I know.
Come on.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
What are you doing? What are you doing throwing me under the bus like that,
By
Wizard?
the way, hey, it'd be a great day to have a bat in your hand, huh?
What are you saying? They're throwing a lot of what? Right down the middle.
A lot of hits out
What are
here
you going to
today.
throw? What, you throwing everybody under the bus here too? What else
Come
you want to
on.
get off your chest?
Dang, man, I'm just having fun, man.
You know?
Hey, Dan.
You know what I said
You're too
too?
serious, man.
Let me tell you something. I said that you were my favorite player growing up. You know what I
And
always?
I'm not?
Well, no, you still are,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's teetering. But I'm going to tell you what. I always said when I introduce. We've done so many events together, and what do I always say? It's great when you not only have your favorite player, and then you want a bat in your hand, don't you, right now, don't you?
Oh, well,
yeah, you do.
There's a lot of hits out there today.
I say, you know, and then you meet that guy, and for whatever reason, sometimes when you meet that favorite guy, he doesn't live up to the expectations. And then I met Ozzy.
Well, thank you.
I didn't finish my story.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, and then I
that's
met
why
Ozzy.
I was cutting you off.
And then I met
Stop
Ozzy.
right there.
And I mean it. You've always lived up, and you've exceeded it.
Thank you, man.
I love
Thank
you, Ozzy. You're the best.
I tell you what, you know, it's been a great honor of mine to have had the opportunity to play baseball in a city where the people are so kind and so great and so good at what they do. And I'm talking announcing. I'm talking yes.
Oh, wow.
Announcing and everything. And I enjoy listening to you.
Thank you.
You sound like you know what you're talking about.
Dan, you can get the rest of those baseballs out now. You got him buttered up. He's ready.
So,
No, but it's great. It's great. We've had a great relationship, and I've enjoyed being around you.
it's been so much fun. The love of golf, though, this has kind of taken you to another stage of your life, hasn't it?
Yeah, sometimes you never know, where you're going to end up or where you're going next. And this golf thing, for most of us that retire, we try and find that thing that's going to fill that void. And when I retired in '96, I had that void, that competitive void in my life. And golf was able to fill that void, because it gave me a chance to still hit something that I'd become, you get accustomed to hitting something, and stuff. And golf fulfilled that. Whoa.
Just a routine pop-up. Come on,
well,
Ozzy.
I didn't know it sounded good. And there's a lot of hits out here.
Well, that's true, too.
Yeah.
And so you got involved with that, and then you turned it into a charitable effort, and then that turned into helping out with last year what happened at Belle Reef. That was unbelievable.
It was an unbelievable week. And, I'm here today actually passing the ambassadorship on to David Wright, who I don't know if they could have picked a better person to do it, because he's one of those old school guys who understands it, who gets it. And he's very good with people too, which is very, very important when you're trying to have an endeavor like this. And he's going to represent the city of New York himself and the organization very well.
What is it like in that role? I mean, what was it like for you? What is he going to expect?
Just being yourself, going out there and meeting and greeting people and smiling, and it's just great. It's a great week to be a part of, and I can't tell you how many people, even today, people are still talking about that week we had in August.
Yeah. Well, what are you trying to do through golf with charity and getting kids involved right now in St. Louis?
Well, it's really just trying to expose kids to the game of golf. We have where the old Carter Carburetor plant was across the street from Herbert Hoover's Boys Club, which is on the site of Old Sportsman's Park. We're hopefully building a 9-hole multi-recreational golf facility across the street there, and hopefully we can do that within the next 5-6 years.
You're fighting the voice. You got a half inning for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Ozzy's going to stay with us. We're back with more in just a moment. Cardinals Hall of Fame voting is open for the fans right now, and it closes on the 12th of April. Vote at cardinals.com/HOF. Cardinals.com/HOF. Ryan O'Rourke, the lefty in for the Mets. What a pleasure. Always a privilege to visit with the Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith as we wait for the Mets to.
Was that bees or what?
Might be. There's something going on in left field and near the bullpen of the
They scattered.
You don't get hazard pay in spring training. You just get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Just start running.
They scattered fast. So Carlos Gomez going out to his position in left. Yeah, you can see. Yep. All right. So Ozzie, before the commercial break, so again, tell us location and what you're trying to do there in St. Louis.
Well, actually what we're trying to do is build a 9-hole multi-recreational facility for kids in the inner city and introducing them to the game and the business of golf. And we realize that kids get in trouble when they have so much idle time. And so golf will be able to occupy some of that time. And we've the first phase of it, actually, we've teamed with Herbert Hoover's Boys and Girls Club, and we've opened a Best Buy Tech Teen Center,
Awesome.
Teen Tech Center there in the facility and stuff. And so kids are starting to enjoy that, and hopefully through golf, we'll be able to keep some kids in school and make better citizens. And that's really what it's all about.
It's great. What's your handicap?
Well, because I haven't played much.
That's an excuse.
Weather's been bad.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, no, when I'm playing on a regular basis, I can play to a 4. But right now, I haven't played, so I'm probably at a 10 right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
You right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Uh-huh. 10.
I hit it pretty good yesterday and stuff. I'm starting to putt better. Because you got to be able to get it in the hole. If you can't get it in the hole, might as well not be out there.
Now, do you have a dream course? Do you have one that you haven't had an opportunity to play yet, or have you pretty much played everywhere you wanted to? Have you done Pebble Beach?
I've done Pebble. I'm getting ready to. I played Augusta 3 times, and I'm getting ready to play Valhalla.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so, I'm making my rounds.
Yeah.
I'm taking advantage of that ambassadorship.
What about St. Andrews?
Hold on here.
Have you gone to St. Andrews yet?
No, I haven't been to St. Andrews
I'd be
yet.
interested in that one.
Yeah. I've gone to Scotland. I've played Old Head, Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
been great.
You just got to roll up and say, hey, I'm the wizard, and I want to play.
I want to play, man.
That's all there is
can I
to
get
it.
in?
Yeah.
It's been pretty good being me.
Yeah, I'd say so. Good for you. So you'll be there on opening day.
I'll be there on opening day, and they tell me all the Hall of Famers are coming back. So
That's what I heard.
That's great.
What do you think of this team?
This team is, I think he's still trying to figure some things out. But when you look at it, and I had a chance to come down, and I spent a week when the pitchers and catchers reported. And if this team doesn't win, it's not because they're not prepared.
Yeah.
Because I think Mike is doing a great job of going back and doing the little things that it takes every day to make a winner. And the guys are responding to it, and I think we'll see it as we watch them turn to double play. Robbie Cano is still smooth as ever.
Ooh, boy, is he smooth or what?
Oh, boy. He can pick it.
Yes, he can. Kind of a lost art, isn't it?
Oh, boy. I tell you, there's nothing more beautiful than watching it. And I know for you too, Brad.
I believe I tell him all the time, it's my favorite thing in the
That's
world.
favorite. Hey, best friend, a double play ball.
Well, reports say that the Cardinals have extended Paul Goldschmidt. I don't want to talk about his offense. Did you watch him much at the bag?
Yes, good feet, good hands, and not to mention, you say you don't want to mention his offense, but, you saw his last at-bat at how he can leave the ballpark all over the ballpark, and that's important to have that guy in the middle who can do that.
Now, you don't give the guy that kind of contract because of his defense.
That's right.
But if I got the wizard in here, I got to ask him about defense.
Well, you know what? He works on it. He works at it. He has the right work ethic and stuff, and so he's an intricate part of this. And I think that this was probably one of the best acquisitions the Cardinals have made in a long time.
We were talking about it also, not just him over there, but how he makes everybody else better. Those crazy plays in the hole. We know the range that Colton Wong has.
You see, that's a lot of what he gets paid for too, because
Certainly.
he makes the people around him better.
Sure. He just kind of seems, and we were talking about this too, he fits the mold of what this is.
He's easygoing, quiet, great work ethic. You know, because when your leader has great work ethic, you'd be stupid not to follow the lead. Molina,
Yes.
same way.
Play by Gomez in left. I know you're making the rounds.
I'm making the rounds. Thank you guys so
You're the
much
best.
for having me, and always great to see you. See you guys opening day.
You got it. Thanks, Ozzie. Absolutely the best. The Wizard, Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith. There's a line on John Gant, today's starter for the St. Louis Cardinals. Can't believe you asked me to have Ozzie sign those for you.
I can't believe you have another half case of baseballs in your carry-on
Yeah, I
bag
should've.
that you were chasing him down the hallway with. That was
Yeah.
nice of him, though, to sign
Really
those
was.
couple.
Should have had him sign a few more, but well,
What are you going to do?
what are you going to do?
That guy's busy.
He's the best.
Let's see if we can get David Wright in here next. Get a couple of bobbleheads.
Fly ball, and Martinez is spun around, but he'll make the catch. Carlos Gomez retired, and that's the first out here in the home half of the fourth.
You see Jose just make his break. Got turned around right before that, but adjusts well. The wind blowing that way. That guy is going to get plenty of reps out in the outfield. There are going to be, you're going to have times where maybe Ozuna needs a day off. Maybe it's Fowler that needs a day. Once again, that bat is very likely to play. He's going to force the action. And he's been just fine out there in the outfield. He's going to break a ball that gets away.
Rajah Davis. So the PGA Championship going from Belle Reve, and that'll go to Bethpage Black. It's on Long Island. Played that course a few years ago.
How'd you do?
Played it from the tips.
So not great?
Yeah, it was, I mean, to tell you, it was long and hard and tough, but fun. A lot of fun.
I got the opportunity before the PGA Championship to play Belle Reve, and they had it playing from the tip. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Playing it like they play it.
Right.
Forget it.
It's amazing what those guys can do. Bethpage, I think, had the 02 and the 09 Open, and I played it right after the 09 Open, so we were playing some of the conditions that were still left over, and it was ridiculous. Strikeout for Gant. Ronnie Mauricio, and again, this young man, born in April of 2001, picked up a sac fly and an RBI his first time up. 5-3 our score, and that pitch taken for a ball inside. That's one thing, as Ozzie pointed out, Mike Schilt reached out to all the Hall of Famers and said, we want you in camp. Personally called them, invited them, and wanted them involved, and then kind of had a theme for each guy, you know, if they could make it. Now, some couldn't for personal reasons or whatever, you know, the case may be, if there was something on their schedule or they were already committed to other events or whatever. But some got in uniform like Ozzie, and but there was the, you know, final out. Let's say if a Bruce Sutter could make it down here, hey, what's it like to be on the mound for the final out? Talk to the team about it.
It's important. There's a lot of history around this ball club. There are a lot of tremendous players, even better individuals. We just had the opportunity to catch up with one of those. To have those guys around your current team, there's a lot you can learn from them. And it's not just having them around, just like, oh, look at this, we're going to trot out a Hall of Famer. Oh, we're going to let them work.
Right.
We're going to let them talk to you. We're going to spend some time. And the beauty of it is these guys want to do it. The Hall of Famers want to be there, want to be around it. It's a beautiful thing. This game continues to give back. and the Cardinals do it better than anybody.
And a base hit into center. Mike has told me, and I like how he phrases it. He says, I don't want yes men around me. So, and we've all been around those kind of people. Well, what do you think? Oh, yeah. He says he wants people to challenge him and to say, no, that's not what I'm seeing. No, that's wrong. No, you need to be looking at it this way. And he says, not that I'm always going to agree with the individual. And he's even asked me and you and others that are up here because we see the game at a different angle. Well, how did you see that play? Are we doing this right? Or do you think that would work? And he's even come back to us last year on the plane rides, and it might be a controversial decision he's made on a hit and run or whatever the case may be, and we'll ask him about it. And he said, well, I just flat messed it up. Took a chance, wrong move, messed it up. And,
it happens.
And he just said, move on. You know?
But you learn from it.
Right.
And that's the thing about getting input from as many places as you can get it, is you learn from it. So whether it be a good decision or a bad decision, you know, what should you try again? Where would you tweak it? What would somebody else be thinking of? Because if you ask enough questions, you're going to get a lot of answers that didn't even occur to you. There are so many different variations. There's so many different things that happen in a Major League Baseball game that there's no way one individual, even as smart as you are, you're going to cover all of them.
I could also see where in any walk of life or business where a guy like, let's say, Jim Edmonds, Chris Carpenter, others that have been down here, and they are intimately involved with the players and in the meetings and have input, they're vocal, would be a threat to, let's say, Mike Schilt. Yachty got him down. He got him. Young man, meet Yadier Molina. He was born in 2001. Yachty was in the big leagues in 04. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Hyundai. The Hyundai SUV lineup has always been better. Now it's bigger. Visit your local Hyundai dealer or buy Hyundai.com today. Buy Shelter Insurance for your auto, home, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket played gives back to Missouri schools, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. I just want to follow up on that point, Brad. I mean, you could understand for a guy that's never played in the big leagues where that would be, you know, those types of players, Cardinal Hall of Famers or Hall of Famers like Ozzie or Bruce Sutter or others. And Bruce, by the way, did not make it down to camp. Wanted to, but couldn't. Where those kind of guys would be intimidating, and this is P.J. Conlon, or a threat, if you will. And that happens in business, any walk of life. But
of course.
And Mike's like, no, man.
Bring them.
Bring them. More knowledge, more eyes, more help.
Here's what you got to think about. Is I know that Mike Schilt is the one at the end of the night. He's the one standing at the podium. He's the one talking to the media. But everything that happens behind the scenes, everything else that happens with the ball club all year long, he's the guy behind it. I mean, he is.
It falls on him, right?
All the benefits that happen from having those guys around and having different point of views and asking questions and having Hall of Famers around. He's the guy that's going to have to answer questions if his team is doing good things or bad things. So why not give your team every single resource that you could possibly give them? Got a couple of good resources standing next to him there in Ollie Marmol and Paul Goldschmidt.
Here's Paul DeYoung, and Mike also with Paul Goldschmidt made a point just to, hey, you're one of the guys. You know, just fit in. You're one of us.
Go do it.
Come on in. They do the ball talk is something that Mike Schilt introduced when he took over as manager last year, which was to highlight good plays and kind of under the radar plays. So I'll throw an example out there. Let's say ball gets away on a third strike and you're the right fielder and you're just hustling, really hustling to back up a throw, which at this level 99 out of 100 from Yadier Molina's at the chest of a first baseman. It's going to be right at his chest, right?
Yep.
That play gets made 99 out of 100 times, and they throw it around the horn. Well, you see that right fielder hustle to back up. May not stand out in the game. Maybe nobody under, in the stands is really paying that much attention, but those guys in that dugout do. They'll point it out.
Yes, it's a good reminder for the players that someone's watching.
Exactly.
It's always there. Nothing is going to go unnoticed around here. Good, bad, ugly. We're going to recognize it all. And how do we get better? How do we get better from it?
And so in the ball talk, right away, and there's Paul DeYoung with at least a single, now thinking two. And on his way to second base with a double. But the point was, Paul Goldschmidt right away took to that. And he said, I like these things. So he would talk in those meetings and stand up and say, hey, I like that. And then the other thing they would talk about is, hey, by the way, on a cutoff, we didn't do this properly. So it wasn't to embarrass a player, but it was just to, hey, we need to get better. Let's work on this. Oh, and by the way, I like how that guy was backing up, or I like how he was hustling, or we need to show how this person was hustling, whatever. But it just encouraged open conversation about the game.
I think it's really important the way that they do it, too, because you see both of them.
There's a drive into right center off the bat of Molina. And a one-hopper over the wall. That'll score Paul DeYoung. And a double for Yadier Molina.
Cardinals are swinging it today. 10 hits so far. Drives in another one. Yadi gets one up in his zone, drives it the other way. Just talking about those meetings again. You get the positive, you get the negative, you focus on both. If you do negative all the time, that's going to be the atmosphere. You got to focus on the good stuff. Here's some good stuff right here. Driving the ball that way again. We saw a single to the right side before, drove in two. Lets this one travel a little bit more and just puts it in the gap.
It's been the talk among the players. Here's a new guy coming in, free agent to be. And he's taken on a leadership role. There's the presence of Goldschmidt inside the clubhouse. And I always get a kick out of it. And that's a foul ball. What is a leader? A leader isn't always the rah-rah guy that the fans or even media see that's throwing helmets, smashing bats, and the leader's behind closed doors and leading by example of what Ozzie talked about. I thought it was interesting what he said. How others watch him go through the drills.
Yep.
The veteran leading by example. Yadi leads by example.
Leaders emerge. You don't just show up and say, I'm the leader now. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
Everybody fall in line. Doesn't work that way. Even if you have a track record like a Paul Goldschmidt has, it just doesn't work like that. It's earned. It's earned through what you do and the relationships that you build, and that will continue to grow for him.
Now it helps when you put up numbers.
Well, of course, yeah, get you a foot in the door, right? We've seen Yadier do that for years here and become that type of leader where everybody watches him go about his business. It's important to have those guys around, that type of guy.
Long yanks it foul, and that guy's been around a long time, and he's led by example. He'll go down as one of the, and already has gone down as one of the all-time greats. And in the rotation for the Cardinals, Adam Wainwright.
No doubt. Another guy, too. I mean, Chris Carpenter kind of passes it along to an Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright has helped out so many different guys on this staff, and that will continue to carry on. And he's had a phenomenal spring, hasn't he? He reinvented himself.
Right.
I mean, he's trying a lot of new things. He's not at the position now where he's going to blow 94, 95 past you, but he doesn't need to. He mixes it up. Decided on a 2-hour bus trip that he was going to start dropping in a split finger. That's been working.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's fun to see stuff like that. He means a lot to this organization, just being around. He means so much to all the young pitchers.
There's another drive into right, and the catch is made. Tagging up from third, Yadier Molina. Wong really good at bats this spring against left-handed pitching.
It's hanging in there.
Yes.
Really well. We've seen in the past he has the tendency to pull off a little bit and maybe try to do a little bit more than he should be doing. It's very balanced right now. I think that Colton Wong, and I know it's spring training, so there's excitement about everybody, but I think he's going to have a really good year. We saw him offensively 2 years ago kind of take that jump to the next level. Ran into some struggles last year. Defensively, no struggles. He should have been the Gold Glove winner at second base, in my opinion. But he's going to have a big year. And I got a feeling at some point we're going to see this guy. We're going to see Tommy Edman.
Edman with a single and has driven in 2, and he's 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Wong was talking about the impact that Mike Shildt has had on him. He was his manager at Double-A and felt that he had his back. Base hit into left. Well, the Cardinals, it's been now back-to-back games in which it was before that about a week in which they really, Brad, did not hit. I mean, it was games 1 in which they were almost no hit. Following day 2 hits. I mean, it was an entire stretch of games.
Saving them up is all they're doing.
Man.
Takes a while sometimes. And I know it gets frustrating too. And as a fan watching, and I know that we have a lot of dedicated fans watching right now and have watched every game that have been on TV, and you get frustrated and you don't believe that the offense is going to come around. You just got to realize spring is long. The season's even longer. You got a lot of veteran players that know how to get themselves ready. And it's going to happen. I mean, they're going to be, I know that the spring numbers, when you just look at, if you're just looking at surface numbers, batting average and things like that, they don't look fantastic. Doesn't matter what those look like. It matters how ready these guys are come opening day.
Cardinals will be in Milwaukee on Thursday, and we'll have that game for you. The opener of the season. And Milwaukee, they've got some issues right now. Less than a week away. And they'll be without their 2 top-handed relievers to begin the defense of their NL Central crown. Corey Knebel, all-star last year, will join Jeremy Jeffress on the injured list. MRI scan of Knebel's elbow revealed what Craig Counsell talked yesterday about as an issue with the UCL. So that is big in the back end of their bullpen.
It's huge. I mean, those guys were leaned upon heavily. Hader obviously leaned upon heavily coming into the year. There's also been rumors, and it's crazy that we're nearing opening day and this guy is still out there, but the Brewers have been linked to Kimbrel here recently in just rumors, which would be a big pickup for them. But what a tremendous loss early on, especially if Knebel ends up being what you hear that being oftentimes. I mean, if that goes down the road of Tommy John, I mean, that is a tough road for them.
Now, Josh Hader is really a flexible guy, lefty-righty guy, multi-inning role. Jeffress, Knebel down could alter that strategy. 9th inning right now. You got Albers. They've got Barnes and Guerra. Alex Claudio is another name that they've talked about, but Craig Kimbrel is still out there as Gant hits a floater into shallow left, and that drops in. Everything going the Cardinals' way here this afternoon.
John Gant, not normally a singles hitter. He's more of a home run kind of guy. A couple of those last year. Helping himself out a little bit. Got to get those ABs. Gant's going to have a little bit of a hybrid role this year, and I think he's going to be an important key in that bullpen. But he's stretched out. He can give you plenty of innings, and when you're giving innings, you're gonna have to get some ABs every once in a while. He doesn't give those away. So the Brewers with the back end of the bullpen now with a couple of injuries. So there's question marks there. The Cubs are dealing with a little bit of the same thing. They have got Brandon Morrow is on the IL to start the season, or he will be on the IL to start the season. Pedro Strop has been dealing with a hamstring that's been lingering, so they're not positive if he is going to be ready either. It's tough. It's tough coming into the season with questions like that.
Jeffress would be available maybe mid to late April for Milwaukee.
Yep. That's if everything goes right.
That's right. So Bader at the plate, 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs and 2 on. Right-hander throwing for the Mets in their pen. No activity for the St. Louis Cardinals. And a pitch taken down and in.
I know it's been just against a couple of lefties so far today, but Harrison Bader seeing the ball really well, getting that timing down, giving himself some chances, fouling some stuff off. Figure 3-0. He's thinking one pitch, one spot.
And now the base is loaded. Game of Thrones night returns to Busch Stadium Tuesday, April 9th. Purchase of a special theme ticket. You'll take home a Game of Thrones inspired Cardinals t-shirt. Plus an official Iron Throne will be on hand for those who dare to take a seat. Get your Game of Thrones tickets at cardinals.com/theme. Is Brad?
Do you dare? Dan? I've never seen the show.
Oh, it's great.
I'm way behind.
Well, you need to get caught up.
All right. When I say way behind, I mean I've actually never seen an episode,
well,
so I got to get in on that.
Get caught up.
I'm going to be doing a tad bit of traveling this year. You're going to have to deal with me. And maybe, do you suggest that being a show that I get going on?
I would.
All right. I'm finishing up another one currently. Finishing up The Punisher right now. Very good. I'll work on it.
There's a 1-0 pitch. One ball, 1 strike on Martinez with the bases loaded.
Dan, you didn't really answer me, though. Do you dare sit on the throne?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, I mean, will you sit on the throne? No, that's
throne.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
Be specific. That's how to play.
Yeah, not the other throne, just the one that's going to be there at the game on the giveaway night.
Well, I just wanted you to be.
Yeah, clear. That's my fault.
Well, be specific. One ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, I'll be happy to do it.
Were you thinking about it that long? If you really dared to sit on the throne, let that hang there for a while. The Game of Thrones that's going to be at the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a high fly ball into right. And the catch is made. Now you go to the ballpark, the beach, the sunshine, 7-3. Kickoff Cardinals opening weekend on Saturday, April 6th. 30,000 fans, 16 and older, will be surprised at the gates with a mystery Hall of Fame parade bobblehead. It's courtesy of Ford. Get Ozzie, Whitey, Bruce. Secure your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. Well, the way this game started, Brad, for John Gant, remember, it was just line drive after line drive. But boy, you look up and it's kind of a typical John Gant start.
You know what? He's settled in quite a bit the last couple of innings. And by the way, it's just great to see him out there in the 5th inning. 62 pitches now. We know that he's going to be a member of the bullpen, but it's nice to have a guy down there that is stretched out. But the Mets were just jumping on his heater early on in this game. He's mixed it up. You're seeing the slider, the cutter there in. He's been throwing the changeup more. I think Gant's got a really nice curveball as well that he'll feature out there, but made some adjustments, and those adjustments have been going very well for him.
And we talk a lot about the changeup of Gant, and probably not enough with the fact that he can elevate a fastball in the mid-90s, and his curveball, which he doesn't use a lot, but
it's good though.
It is a good curveball. That's Matt Wieters there on the left and Mike Maddox on the right. 2-1 pitch, and a tapper foul by Jeff McNeil in a long home run earlier in the ball game.
He jumped on a first pitch fastball, first pitch of the game, and took it for a ride. You mentioned that changeup. We've seen a couple in a row. We saw John Gant earlier get out of a jam, threw a nice changeup, got a double play to end the inning. And he is stretched out now, but who knows how Mike Schilt, Mike Maddox end up using him.
Into center, Bader.
And I know that Mike Schilt has talked about this. The last thing that he's going to let happen to John Gant is that he just sits out there in the bullpen and develops rust. Can't happen. You got to be able to utilize all your guys down there in the pen. And it's hard sometimes. The game dictates oftentimes how guys get into the game. But John Gant has tremendous value.
Good luck to the Billikens. Travis Ford tonight in the NCAA tournament. Fox Sports Midwest, your home of Billiken basketball, and Bills are in the NCAA tournament.
What a run in the A-10 tournament. 4 games, 4 days. They were down at one point against St. Bonnie's in the A-10 championship. They were down by 15 and rally back.
And there's Martinez coming in. Easier for him to make that play coming on, and there's 2 outs.
Little stuff. Good communication, though. Martinez does a great job coming in on that. He's got the vantage point. You see him. I'm calling him off. I'm talking about it.
He's got his new coffee out.
Have you tried it yet? I love coffee.
I'm going to go to Jose and make sure I get some. I'm going to sit down and have a little cup.
Can I come with you?
Oh, because, yeah, we'll have some coffee with him.
I'm a coffee nerd. I love it.
And I'm sure it's going to be tough to have a conversation with him and get a word in.
I'm shocked that he loves caffeine. That's crazy.
Yeah, him and coffee, that's a
good combo.
Well, you with coffee and Jose with coffee.
What do you mean?
Well, you know what I mean.
What do you think? I'm a little
you're a little jumpy.
I'm a little much. Is that what you're going with?
I think that's what I'm going with.
All right.
You two would make coffee nervous.
Thank you.
No problem. As you grab your coffee.
So what is the drive here to St. Lucie? About 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Roughly from Jupiter.
So I got myself a large coffee.
Retired.
And then another large coffee when I got here. So good.
A little jumpy.
So good.
7-3. Cardinals on top. Reminder of our What's on Tap, the opening series at Milwaukee. This is regular season. Will come your way at noon. Hour-long pregame show. Hour-long pregame show come your way at noon. And all 4 of those games will be seen on Fox Sports Midwest, the Budweiser What's on Tap. Adonis Uceta, the minor league pitcher, to face Goldschmidt. He's had a big day. 2 for 3, a home run, double. That home run was hit into right center. And the double hit down the left field line. And another high fly ball lifted into deep right field. That'll carry to the wall, and it's dropped. Goldschmidt to second, on his way to third.
Just drives it. Another one. This one, too, I don't even think it was caught up in the wind. It just kept going. The wind is actually kind of dead right now. Loses it a little bit. Not exactly sure where he's at. And Goldschmidt hustling.
I haven't seen if it's been ruled an error or not. I would assume it is. And that is laced into center. Sliding catch. Goldschmidt was tagging up. Throw to the plate offline. Good base running by Goldschmidt to immediately go back to the bag, and he'll score the run. RBI for Marcell Ozuna.
Ozuna hits this one well, and you're right. Goldie does do a great job right off the bat, being in a good position. Once again, you look at the frame, and you don't think that he runs as well as he does, but he moves very, very well. It's nice to see Ozuna squaring the ball up again as well.
Shortstop Paul DeYoung. Cardinals have out hit the Mets 13-7 and lead 8-3. Ozuna yesterday 3 hits, and that has carried over to today's. Starting to sting the ball. And that pitch taken on the inside corner. Yesterday 9 of 14 hits, extra base hits, and 8 of the 13 hits have gone for extra base hits. Hits sharply to third, bobbled, and DeYoung is aboard.
Cardinals hitting the ball hard.
Well, that's what we thought. With this offense, this would be thump up and down the Cardinal lineup.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. That one ends up just being a in-between hop. McNeil does his best to stay in front of that thing, but can't come up with it. Oh, you look at this lineup top to bottom, and there will be some questions as to exactly how Mike Shildt wants to deploy his guys.
Double play ball, 6-4-3.
But this lineup's got a chance to be very long.
8-3. Cardinals on top. Midway and Nationals tomorrow at noon, and you can see that game on Fox Sports Midwest. I think I like the pitching. Michaelis against Steven Strasburg tomorrow at noon.
That's got a chance to be highly entertaining, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Last tune-up for those two.
I'm liking that one. Tomas Nido. We're in the bottom of the 6th. John Gant pitching with a 5-run lead. Cardinals will play later tonight as well, and I believe John Brebbia is scheduled to appear in that game. And I bring that up because Shreve has been designated for assignment. So you think about now some clarity in the Cardinal bullpen. Hicks, Miller, Myers, Gant, Alex Reyes.
Those are all but certain at this point.
Yeah, and so what you're thinking then is Brebbia, Leon, maybe he's got options.
Leon has had a fantastic spring, by the way. He hasn't given up a run in 7 outings.
So I'm thinking he's on, and you know,
Brebbia's been great too.
He has, and Webb has been good. So
that's the hard part, man.
They've got tough decisions coming up.
Big time. Big time. As you see Gant here, there's that change right on right.
The point being here, Brad, is that depends on what you want to do. I mean, there's off days in the schedule at the beginning of the season. So, you know, you carry an extra reliever. Do you go with a 5-man bench? Do you not carry that reliever? 4-man bench? I mean, what do you want to do?
Yeah, it's difficult. I think that you could get through it with one less arm in the bullpen. But it's tough. I mean, a guy like you mentioned Brebbia. Brebbia was a go-to guy last year, and he rode that back and forth. The
Right.
Memphis, St. Louis, Memphis, and that is a difficult thing to do. And he always came back ready, and he deserves to be a part of it. But oftentimes, the options and the contractual things kind of throw a little wrench in there. Also, I mean, if Brebbia is a part of it, then it would appear that you'd be going with a one lefty bullpen. Andrew Miller being the lone lefty.
Now, the way I look at that too is that Leon is can be tough on lefties.
Big time. His splits might even be better against lefties.
Reyes can be tough on a lefty or a righty.
Yep.
Obviously Miller on lefties. Hicks, I don't care who's in the box.
Good luck.
Yeah. So,
Well, and by the way, just talking about the future, that's how you're going to have to build your bullpens anyhow next year when you don't have that, when you get some different rules. But to your point, you got a lot of guys that can get the job done.
to Alex Reyes' credit, and there he is. He said at the beginning of camp, he told me, he said, I'm going to make the decision on the Cardinals very, very difficult. One way or another, as a starter, reliever, I don't care, but I'm going to make this very hard on them as Keon Broxton is at the plate. I think the idea going into the camp was the Cardinals, number one, let's get him healthy, make sure he's healthy. It was a normal offseason for him. But I'm going to force the issue. And he did. And
it's hard to have an arm like that too and not want to take it in some way, shape, or form. And the thought is that next year, hopefully, or maybe even later this year, we just don't know how things are going to break down, that Reyes is a part of that rotation, and you'd like to see him get built up to do that. But look, you worry about that then, I guess, and then you worry about now. If it's all about breaking camp with your best arms and giving yourself the best chance to win, that young man right there has one of the best arms around, is going to give you a great chance.
3-1 pitch, foul back, 3-2. The career timeline for Reyes, which unfortunately for him has been injury riddled, recent history. Made his debut, which was so exciting, in 2016, had the partial tear of the UCL. Tommy John last year in Milwaukee forced the issue, knowing that he had soreness and an issue, and then was shut down.
A frustrating couple of years. You rehab so long when you have Tommy John, and the mental hurdles are there. You come back, you're healthy. He was tearing it up in his minor league stint before he ended up making his season debut last year against Milwaukee. And to have it happen again, I mean, that would crush a lot of people mentally. But he just goes back to the drawing board. He goes back to work, and he finds himself a piece of this year, a part of this. The way that they use him this year, I think, is going to be interesting too, because he's never had this role. He's never been a bullpen guy. He's certainly never pitched back-to-back. He's never gone 2 out of 3. So we're going to see how they deploy him this year. But I know this, whenever he's in a game, the Cardinals are going to be in good shape.
Talking with Mike Schilt about that, and he basically said, look, he's such a talented guy, and he's one of our best. And I feel that if we're a championship club, 50 to 60 appearances from Alex Reyes, using him properly, gives us a better chance to win. And those innings are vital. And base hit into right off the end of the bat of Carlos Gomez, so finds a hole.
Now you see Colton Long just shifted way over. No chance right there.
I believe that may be Evan Mendoza now at first base for the Cardinals. There's Dominic Leone throwing in the Cardinal pen. Rajah Davis at the plate.
Dan, you basically did all the games last year, outside of a couple of national games. Were there any or many where there was the talking point of, oh, they're running out of visits?
Good question.
Probably very few, because that goes down again this year. It goes from 6 last year to 5 visits this year.
Maybe a couple times got to 5.
Yeah, and
maybe
in the beginning of the season we had a closer eye on it than.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of figured it out.
Right, and the big talking point at the beginning of spring training was the 20-second clock for pitchers, and that has been thrown out now, so you don't worry about that. And it looks like the Cardinals now will go with a change. Yadi's pointing back towards the dugout, and this will be a double switch. The rare double switch in spring training. You don't see that very often, huh? This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. And there's a ball on the outside corner to Rajah Davis. Last season, Dominic Leone. Numbers for the right-hander of St. Louis. Pitch in the dirt. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Jairo Munoz takes over at shortstop for Paul DeJong. Runners at first and third. Cardinals with a lead of 8-3. They've out-hit the Mets 14-7. Outfield is straight away.
Dominic Leone having a very good spring up to this point. 7 games. Hasn't given up anything yet. We were just spending some time talking about the battle for the last bullpen spot. You would have to believe that Dominic Leone is a part of that already. I know it's a 5-run game, but if you're coming into a situation like this is the type of a spot that he's going to find himself in. Just a little confusion over a ball or strike there. Ends up walking him on 4 pitches, but he's going to find himself in some close games. Remember, Dan, he was a guy that in the beginning of the season, coming out of spring, a lot of talk of him being the closer.
Dealt with that nerve issue, and that's when Adam Wainwright rediscovered the different arm angle. Just playing catch with Dominic Leone. Just playing catch. Middle of last season. And that's now 5 straight balls thrown by Leone.
Well, we were just talking about the success that he's had in his career against left-handers. In a situation here, Mauricio, even though he's young, he's been swinging the bat pretty well in this game.
Sac fly and an RBI first time up, and also a single. And now that's a ball down and in. 2 balls and no strikes. Caught the corner, 2-1.
Mauricio, 17 years old. Dan, what were you doing at 17 years old? Were you in the booth already? You've been doing it for a while.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
No. 17. Up to no good doing something. You?
Yeah, same. Nothing productive, I don't think.
No.
Not entertaining the masses. And everybody talking about how bright my future is. I don't think that was the conversation when I was 17 years old.
It does bring up the point of these guys being 17 and
crazy
playing Major League Baseball. And the 2-2 pitch on the ground. Leon gets to the bag. And the threat is through. 8-3 Cardinals. Well, Brad Thompson, the offense, we've been looking for it here in the final week, and we've gotten it the last 2 days.
A whole lot of barrels today, and we're seeing the regulars in there doing some damage. Goldschmidt with a big day, had the home run, had a double early on. Even his outs have been stung. And Jeff Albert's getting the boys going today. There's been a lot of talk about Jeff Albert. A lot of the guys within the organization have been around him, speak very highly of him. Just getting good hustle there by Colton Wong. Just getting that plan implemented, getting everybody behind it. It's a work in progress, I'm sure, but we're seeing some dividends here in the last couple of days, and that's what you want to go into the season. You want to go in on a high note.
You saw Colton Wong actually race back to the bag at first base. You have to, as a base runner, once you run through the bag, if you make, and you're going to see here the misplay, and to his credit, hustling down the line. He's in foul territory, but as a base runner, you have to make a commitment to run towards second base, which is kind of a misconception in the game. So if he's in fair territory and then makes the commitment to run towards second base, then he can be tagged out.
Sure.
But in that case, foul territory and going to walk back to the bag.
I'm wondering if he was thinking right there with all that was going on around the bag that maybe he didn't get the bag initially.
That's what I was thinking. There's another base hit for Tommy Edman. I'm telling you, folks, he's opened up some eyes in this camp, and Wong first to third.
We've seen him play all over the field.
Yeah.
We've seen him swing it from both sides with authority. He's got a great approach, and I know that you've had the opportunity to be around him. He's just a smart guy.
He's a pro.
It. Yes, big time. Look how balanced he is at the plate.
Runners at the corners, nobody out, and here is Jairo Munoz. One of the factors that's a check in the box that's a positive for Munoz. Cardinals went back and looked at some of the video of his at-bats last year, and Munoz smokes it out to left. Wong will tag up, and this will make it a 9-3 ball game. So it wasn't just looking, Brad, at the numbers against lefties and righties and sliders and curveballs and fastballs, but they went back and looked at who he was facing and how the at-bats transpired. It was late inning situations, closers, and they loved his approach in those at-bats. And he's the kind of guy, and you know this, day games after the night games.
Ready.
And against Scherzer, against the number ones, and he's the guy that arrives at the ballpark first and says, I can't wait to play.
Yep.
And as a manager, I mean, you love those guys, and that's a you know, positive for him to try to make this team.
Oh, no doubt. It's important too to have context, to know exactly. Numbers are great, and we can all dig in and we can all, you know, look up numbers, but seeing exactly how it went down, who it went down against, gives you a way better idea of exactly what you have. And Munoz has been a guy for them that answers the bell, and they need to put him somewhere they do. And he wasn't the guy that was supposed to have the spring that he did last year. Nobody was expecting him to just take off, but
it was
he did.
Max Schrock who was supposed to be the guy.
Of course, and hopefully that time comes for Max Schrock as well, both in the trade for Stephen Piscotty. But you just never know. You get a chance, you get an opportunity, and you run with one. And he's been doing so. Also talking the last week or so of him basically being potentially your backup to the backup, your emergency catcher. It's important to have that guy if you're going to, a lot of the talk with Wieters, and if you didn't hear earlier the news or haven't seen it, Matt Wieters will be the backup to Yadier Molina. If you want to utilize the switch hitter, if you want to use him off the bench, you better have somebody there to cover yourself. You don't see that very often. You don't see a manager go to his backup catcher as a pinch hitter just due to the fact that what if something happens? It provides you a little bit of flexibility.
A fly ball tailing towards right, and the catch is made. Edman to the bag at first. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th as Harrison Bader is retired. Was in that conversation, the media scrum, if you will, when Mike Schilt was talking about that. Apparently Jairo Munoz has a brother that's a pitcher, and he gets the gear on in the winter months and catches them, and so he said that Jairo would be the emergency catcher.
You don't want to break the glass all the time.
Well, he said, now let me be real clear about this. He said he is the emergency catcher with capital letters, because he said now, one of the media members said, now would you pinch hit Wieters maybe in the 5th or the 6th, and then you got, you know, Jairo there, and he said, let me be clear about this.
Might be a little later.
Yeah. So it would be on truly an emergency situation.
Certainly. But it's just another tool in the tool belt, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
When you're that type of player, and not to say that Jairo Munoz at one point can't have that skill set where he can be an everyday guy, but it comes to the opportunities. But until then, as many jobs as you can do, the better you are, the more valuable you are to an organization.
It's funny, John Mozeliak was with us today before the game, and he talked about the deal that brought Jose Martinez to St. Louis, which $1 was involved in that trade.
That worked out really well.
Yeah, I'd say so. Martinez at the plate right now.
I think he also told me that my value wasn't quite that high when they were trying to move on from me.
He did talk about that. I'm sorry to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to add that.
I'll do it.
Martinez retired. Time to stretch. Spring training baseball. Hope you're enjoying it on Fox Sports. New for 2019 Premium Party Suites. Great way to enjoy a Cardinals game. And they feature a full-service bar in each suite. Newly enhanced menu and a renovated design perfect for entertaining clients or friends. Learn more at cardinals.com/premium suites. Leon got out of a bases loaded jam last inning. 1-0, or rather 1 ball, no strikes. It's a 9-3 score in favor of St. Louis. 1 ball, no strikes.
Leon started last inning when he came in, 6 balls in a row. Another one here. Just got to harness that thing a little bit. He's got so much cut, so much life on his pitches. He did a fantastic job, by the way, of getting over there and covering first base. Get out of that inning. Mendoza had vacated a little bit. He did a great job, or that inning could have kept going. Little tiny mistake like that, especially when you're not pumping strikes, that could hurt you.
Off the glove of Wong, and a base hit into center field. Jeff McNeil swung the bat well today.
Tell you what, the Mets have a lot of guys that are having great springs. McNeil being another one. Saw the big home run earlier. I think if that thing bounces a little bit earlier or a little bit later, Colton Wong's got a chance on that thing. That just was hit very hard. Crazy difficult play, but we've seen Colton Wong come up with some ridiculous ones over the last couple of years. But McNeil has been swinging it well. This guy right here, Pete Alonso, having a monster spring training, trying to force the hand of the Mets to make him be a part of it. J.D. Davis having a good spring. I mean, a lot of guys over there for the Mets doing their thing.
Here's Alonso, RBI single. Mets have announced that Citi Field will get a new address honoring Tom Seaver. Also revealing plans coming up in June for a statue honoring the great Tom Seaver, the ace who led the Mets to their first World Series title. back in 1969. And that statue will be completed in 2020. That ball is hit out of play. Won the Cy Young Award 3 times. Led the National League in strikeouts 5 times. He was the Rookie of the Year in '67. Hall of Famer, inducted back in 1992. And the Mets have seen Seaver and Mike Piazza, the only 2 players to wear Mets cap on their Hall of Fame plaque. Hit up the middle, and that's a base hit. And it was sad to see that the family, Tom Seaver's family, announced earlier this month he had been diagnosed with dementia and would be retiring from public life.
Yeah, incredible career, incredible ambassador for the Mets, and one of the first guys that you think about when you think about that organization. That's a very nice thing that they're doing, renaming the street, doing the statue, and a memory that certainly will be there forever for Mets fans.
Robinson Cano with 2 runners on. We're in the bottom of the 7th. And that pitch taken low and away.
It'd be very easy at this point of the game, late in spring training, for Robinson Cano to not be in here anymore. They just getting ABs.
How about Yadier Molina?
No doubt. Just want to be in there. Working, getting better and better.
Brodie Van Wagenen. He is the general manager of the Mets. And it's so interesting. I mean, to be a GM that was a former agent at this time last year. Kind of a brash, guy.
It's an interesting hire for sure, but he's done some big time things already. He's made big moves, and I kind of like it, actually. I like the fact that he's worked on that side, which is, it's something that other GMs just haven't had, that type of experience. I don't know. It seems to work, and he didn't just come in here and say, all right, well, we'll just take a year, we'll figure it out, we'll see what we've got. Brodie Van Wagenen has been very, very busy. Robinson Cano, obviously a new addition. Edwin Diaz, the all-star closer from Seattle, brings him in as well. Wilson Ramos is back. J.D. Davis, Familia, Adini Echeverria is a part of things. Broxton. There's so many different guys that he brought in this offseason that are going to affect this team. There's going to be a battle out there in the East.
Here's a 1-1. Fastball. And a strike. Well, you're not going to be judged by paychecks, but wins and losses.
It's the thing.
Yeah. And the 1-2 spoiled. Ripped into right field. A strong throw back in and kept in front by Molina. That's Tyler O'Neill in right field. And now the bases are loaded and nobody out. Leone has just not been as sharp today.
No, he's trying to get that cutter in there on Cano, and if he's able to bury that and get it in off the plate, he's got a good chance to get him. But can't get it in there far enough. And yeah, he struggled with control of that thing. We've seen him go to his fastball and spot that thing up. Threw a couple of good ones to Cano, but that cutter, that's his bread and butter. He's still working on feel for it. But he's been so good all spring.
Bases loaded, and that pitch taken just a bit high. Tomasinido. 9-3 Cardinals here in the home half of the 7th. Big gap in left center. Oh! 1-1. Cardinals with a right-hander throwing in the bullpen. I believe that is Mike Myers. Right-hander throwing in the Mets bullpen. Ooh, doesn't get the call there. That is Mike Myers, been working on a curveball down here in spring training, and pitch count now at 24 for Dominic Leone. Double play ball. 2 away.
Well, Leone been struggling to find it, but he gets a good cutter on the outer half right here. Gets him to extend. Nice tailor-made double play ball. Limit the damage. Get 2 outs right there. Just leave this guy stranded over at third base.
Liner just over Wong, and a run will score. And the base hit for Ahmed Rosario.
You see this one here. Yachty wants it away. You see the glove tracking back in. Just misses spot by a good foot. A good hitter put a good swing on it.
Keon Broxton. Our vantage point, still see some of the ball games taking place in the backfields here as the minor league games have fired up down here in Florida.
Those can be long days.
Oh boy,
on the backfields. You know what, it is funny as you go through them. They feel longer. As I sit up here now and see them work, and you miss those days.
I bet you do, don't you?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of some memories that you'll never forget, some relationships that are going to be there for a long time. And I mean, that's where it starts. It starts on the backfield. And then you get a chance to get in here into the stadium. And then you get an opportunity. We were talking about Jairo Munoz a little bit ago. Got a chance, ran with it. But it all starts back there.
0-2 the count on Broxton. Cardinals will play in Memphis. Well, they got to play somebody, so you got to play the Memphis Redbirds, and then Springfield. They're going to take a bunch of their players too, because the minor league season doesn't start when a major league season begins, so they're going to play against each other a bunch. So actually their spring training, if you will be cut a little bit short down here. That's low, and they're going to
keep getting your work in.
Yeah, they're just going to get the workouts up in Memphis.
Tell you what, it's actually a good opportunity also. We just talked about these opportunities here at the big league level, but it's a great opportunity for somebody that's pegged to go to Springfield to be playing against Memphis. You never know. You know, you could catch somebody's eye right before and say, man, we got to bring this guy.
Turning into a long outing for Dominic Leone, 31 pitches, and I'm sure Mike Maddox and Mike Schilt keeping a close eye on that. One way or another, this might be his final hitter that he'll see, and not a good line there. 15 balls, 16 strikes.
Yeah, not exactly where you want to have those splits. Once again, this is the outlier of the spring for Dominic Leone. He has been very, very good. He's been pounding the strike zone. These are the days you got to battle through it, though.
Runner goes on the 3-2. It's fouled back. Remember, the Brewers wanted to hand that job to Keon Broxton. It was his, and he just couldn't get over the hump offensively. They thought defensively he was their guy. Yeah. But offensively couldn't quite put it all together.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than expected. And sometimes maybe one organization runs out of patience. Another one jumps in on you. Then all of a sudden that guy catches fire.
And this should do it for the inning. Mets pick up a couple of runs. A lot of offense today. Cardinals with 14 hits. The Mets with 12, and it's a 9-5 ball game. Paul Goldschmidt on the cusp. You believe all the reports? Let's just say it, Brad, we do. The Budweiser player of the game of signing the long-term extension with the Cardinals, and today 3 for 4, home run, triple, double, couple of runs scored, now out of the game, so a single away from the cycle. Like I said before, not a bad 24 hours.
I like that guy. And it's nice to hear the reports, I guess, until it's official, that he's going to be hanging around here for the foreseeable future. Big day for him. Even bigger day for the Cardinals to get this done with Paul Goldschmidt. Exciting times for the Cardinals.
Joe Cavallaro, what do you think that ovation? I knew it was going to be big anyway on opening day, but when he's introduced opening day in St. Louis, what do you think it's going to be like now with him locked up?
Dan, I got a feeling that the BFIB are going to show up, and it is going to be loud. That's always a fun one to see who gets the largest ovation.
Willie
McGee is.
Well, that's, yeah.
All right,
Willie.
who gets the second?
Just put it at number 2.
And actually, you know what? That's not even fair, too. You should split up current players and Hall of Famers.
You're probably right.
Split those up. We're spoiled. We are so spoiled with opening day and all of the great Cardinals that are around, all of the Red Jackets that are out there, and all of the fans that show up bright and early in the morning to be a part of it. Because that opening day doesn't start at game time. It starts early. People are there all day long.
Let's make it a citywide holiday.
Knock it out. It can't be that hard, can it? It's got to be easy to pass holidays.
8th inning, first out. That's Evan Mendoza.
By the way, am I the only one that spells holiday wrong because of Matt Holliday? I oftentimes do that when writing it down.
Brian Holiday, who's a player, a catcher.
Yes.
He's
A-D-A-Y, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't spell it that way.
Okay.
I just do the 2 L's a lot of time when I mean the 1 L, like a holiday, like we were just talking about.
Right. Is Marcelo Zuna as an RBI today?
I'm not a strong speller.
Well, you were trying to figure out what you were doing at 17.
Wasn't spelling.
No.
Or math, actually. I'm not really strong at math.
You're a talker, though.
That's part of the job.
That's right. I bet you were a chirper down in that bullpen.
No. Quiet, man.
I think you were initially. But then you got a little of that veteran status, and then it all changed.
I don't think that part of it happened, but you do get in the trust tree, all right? You have a group of friends where you feel like you can be yourself around them, and then
let it rip.
Then you have a little fun.
You let it rip.
A little bit of downtime in the bullpen as this one, right off of the knee.
Well, you got the protective shin guards, if you will, or the
There's not much there, though.
yeah, and you can see right above the knee.
There's a small gap.
There's just a tiny gap, and it does have an opening there, and that's, oh boy, and that's where it's caught, and he caught this one, but enough at the wall, and it's gone. Marcelo Zuna. He's starting to heat it up.
Here we go. You saw the home run yesterday and gets another one today. Starting to see the ball really well. Saw him drive a ball to center field today early on. This one just left middle. And honestly, earlier in camp, maybe he fouls that one back. Or maybe it's a ground ball somewhere. He's starting to get that angle. He's starting to feel good. That's a couple days in a row here that the Cardinals offense has looked fantastic, and Marcelo Zuna's been a part of it.
Here's Dylan Carlson. Last time we saw him in this ballpark, it was a long home run onto that grassy area in right center
Off of
Diaz.
Yes. And Diaz just shaking his head.
I love his swing from this side of the plate, and with the style of this pitcher kind of dropping down 3/4, you can see where left-handed bat would get a good look at this type of pitcher. Now from the right side, not to say that it won't get to maybe this side of the plate, but from this side of the plate, his swing it just seems more natural.
Yeah.
It seems like he's had better success.
You're always going to have one side that you're a tad bit more comfortable on, but it's work in the other side. And it's all about reps. I'm sure he sees a lot more. Here we go. Right back up the box. Got a good look at that one. Probably gets the chance to see way more righties than he does lefties.
I think it's, you know, he would be the guy that when you're following, I know our fans, primarily those watching, not all, watch the major leagues, but this is a guy to watch this season in the minor leagues. Just follow him, look at the numbers, see the progression. But he's also a player that I think could play center field too. Good arm, runs well.
Very good athlete.
Yeah.
I got a number for you to watch also with Dylan Carlson. It's the number on his back in spring training the next couple of years.
Good point.
Because I think that we're going to see 91 drop down.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's going to get lower, and it's going to get lower, and then he's going to be a part of things, hopefully, for the future. And that's what it's all about. The Cardinals over the years have done such a great job of drafting and developing. And a lot of the time we spend focusing on all the great arms that have been around. And look at this rotation. Look at this bullpen. It's littered with awesome arms that the Cardinals drafted and developed. But the position players are coming. Those guys are coming. Dylan Carlson is coming. Nolan Gorman is coming. I mean, these guys are on the horizon. It's an exciting time.
Yadier Molina late in a ball game. Spring training still catching. And that pitch popped up in the air and right. And there's 2 away. Myers continues to throw, and Colton Wong with 2 outs and a runner at first. And strike 1.
Dan, you've been down here pretty much the entire time for spring training. You about ready for the real games?
I am ready. I would say the position players are ready. I would imagine, and you can speak to this, but I would imagine the pitchers are probably ready too now.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's long enough. Your starters are built up. You've gotten your bullpen guys to the point where you want them, where they can pitch back-to-back, 2 of 3. You're ready for some real ball games.
Let's see the first baseman with Wong up, left-handed batter playing behind the runner, 5-run lead. Yeah, pitchers now are stretched out for the most part. Mike Schilt talked about it the other day that he'd like to see his starter get around, 95, 100 pitches, which they've been close to.
Yep.
And I would imagine that would be the case tomorrow with Michaelis. They've been throwing on the backfields in simulated games. Michaelis and Flaherty have been around 80 to 85 pitches, I guess, roughly. That's Ali Marmol on the left. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That's hit out of play. Ali is the bench coach for Mike Schilt. One point he was the youngest manager in all of major or professional baseball in the minor leagues. Here's Ali. He's the first base coach last year, and that's now Stubby Clapp, who was the manager for the Memphis Redbirds. What a job he did. Little flare into shallow left center, drops Carlson to third. Get an idea of his speed. First to third, didn't have to hesitate with 2 outs, and good speed.
Yeah, he was moving right there. Tell you what, you got to love organizationally all the guys getting a chance to move on to see Dylan Carlson get that good jump. Ollie Marmol, part of the big league staff. Stubby Clapp, part of the big league staff. You see Pop Warner over there with Dylan Carlson, another guy that has worn many hats within this organization.
I was with Pop when he was called up. Playing career was over. Never made it to the big leagues as a player, and Pop was called up by Tony La Russa to be a coach. And a base hit into right. Have a day. Tommy Edman misplayed in right. Edman to second base. If this is one of his last starts of the spring, make an impression, and he has done that.
4 knocks on the day. Incredibly comfortable, taking advantage of it. Here it is. Like you said, if this is what you've got, and I got a feeling we'll see him in the next couple of games, he's doing it. We've seen him hit fastballs, breaking balls. Doesn't matter. A very, very nice day for Tommy Edman.
Just to finish the story on Pop Warner, but he was done as a player, very close to making to the big leagues. It didn't happen. And that's pulled foul by Munoz, but George Kissel would identify certain players and guys that he thought would be good teachers, and he was one of them. Pop Warner was, and said, you're going to be a great coach, great manager at some point. But Tony La Russa and Walt Jocketty felt that too, and he was called up to travel for 1 year in the big leagues and then begin his journey as a coach and a manager in the minor leagues. And Pop was with us for 1 year just to hit fungos, kind of soak it in. And now here he is in the big leagues. And again, it's that, we hear the term Cardinal way. That's Pop Warner.
There are a lot of different coaches that go into the road.
Good piece of hitting on the 0-2, and here come 2 more runs to score. Munoz drives in 2.
It might be late in the game with just a couple of spring training games left, but individuals aren't giving away ABs. Jairo Munoz, who was fantastic for the Cardinals last year, still battling to be a part of it this year. Gets a breaking ball. This thing's out. I mean, this is off the plate away, and he does do a great piece, a great job right there of just getting to it and doing just enough. Yeah, there are a lot of coaches within organizations. We were just talking about Pop Warner, that really just paved the way for these guys. And you talk about just different coaches that influence your career. I know he had a lot of them, Kissel being one of them.
Did you know George?
Yes. Yes,
He was awesome.
He was fantastic. I will never forget just being in the batting cage for hours. And he would work with a lot of us pitchers on bunting. And all you had to do is every once in a while, you get him a Coca-Cola, and then he'd be good to go again. He'd feed the machine, and he'd make sure everything was perfect. One of the most genuine, just great individuals. To say he's baseball smart, I mean, is understating.
Yeah.
Understating everything. But George Kissel was unreal. Another guy that his impact is felt throughout this organization will be forever.
Really, throughout baseball.
Yes, you're right.
Because players would come up through the Cardinals system and then get traded away or move on to a different organization, whatever. And his teachings are everywhere. As Bader lifts a fly ball into center. And the Cardinals pick up 4 more runs. 19 hits. Marcel goes deep. And it's been that kind of day for St. Louis. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Larry State works in the front office of the St. Louis Cardinals, has informed us now it is truly official. All 16 living Hall of Famers, Cardinal Hall of Famers. Mike Myers into the game. All 16 living Cardinal Hall of Famers will be attending opening day on April 4th in St. Louis Busch Stadium. Opening day April 4th. All 16 living Cardinal Hall of Famers will be there.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
It was always a fun time. Dan, you've been doing opening day for a long time.
Yeah.
I know it never gets old for you.
Never. Never, ever. Told this story at the Caravan, but somebody asked me, and this is Carlos Gomez at the plate. Mike Myers now the new pitcher for the Cardinals. What am I looking forward to calling this season the most? And I said, well, certainly a clincher to get into postseason play is an exciting time. I thought Pujols coming back to St. Louis that weekend would be an exciting weekend. That's ripped foul. And then I said, you know what? Opening day, that day never, there's always something new to it.
Yep.
And I went into being from St. Louis and growing up a Cardinal fan is always, you know, just something that ties in the generations of Cardinal fans, and seeing the crowd together as Gomez lifts a fly ball into left. But seeing that man come out and the reception that he gets. But I'll go back to a couple years ago. And for me, my father's been gone for over 2 decades. And I remember him taking me to the ballpark as a kid. So I think about him that day and taking now my children to the ballpark and having them sit in my lap and call a game. And it just, wow, it still hits home. But seeing Lou Brock walk to his position, everybody is familiar with Lou's situation, and seeing him walk to his position among the Hall of Famers. And Tim McCarver was working with me on one of the games before he became a member of the Cardinals Hall of Fame. And I looked over at Tim, and Tim was his teammate for a long time. And Tim would always say, and there's a base hit into right, he is the toughest player that he ever played with. He said, I never saw Lou Brock in the training room, ever. And now Tim is, he said, now Dan, ever, slams down the table. I never saw him in there. And he said he's the toughest guy I ever have seen in baseball and I ever played with. And seeing Lou walk out there, and I looked over at Tim McCarver, and he had tears in his eyes. And I thought, now this is generation to generation to generation of what Cardinal baseball truly is all about. I got goosebumps thinking about it right now. So opening day in St. Louis is more than just the game. It's bringing everybody back.
Pageantry.
Yeah, bringing everybody back, seeing old friends and the families back together. And for many people, they come from out of town and from many long distances to get back with family and friends. And it's a party and it's fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be fantastic. Now, what about on the road? You've done plenty of calls and opening days elsewhere. Is there any that stick out to you that?
I think the parade in Cincinnati. So it's
they do it up.
Yeah, tradition that Cincinnati always opens up at home, and they do a parade and kind of a little motorcade around downtown.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
It is cool.
How about for you?
You know what?
Well, being a player in St. Louis has got to be awesome.
I still get goosebumps thinking about it, and just being back by the wagon gate, you know, while they're loading up the Clydesdales, and you hear the roar when somebody else goes out, and you're like, oh man, I'm about to go out there.
Did you ever take the video camera? Were you ever one of those guys?
No, I wish I would have.
Yeah.
Wish I'd have kept stuff like that or done stuff like that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I just kind of tried to take it all in. But honestly, right now, don't need the video camera. I still remember it. I still remember, you know, driving around and just being a part of it. But yeah, they were special. I remember opening up in Philadelphia one year. Just opening day, just itself, doesn't matter where it is, just has a feeling about it. There's so much excitement. There's so much fun around it. And I'm looking forward to opening day this year.
I'm trying to think other places that really have done it right, or just, you know, made it special.
Have their own thing.
Right. But Cincinnati's pretty cool just because of it's every year they open up at home, and that's tradition. But I think that's neat to see that. I think it's neat to hear and also see. I always take in watching the opposing team watch what's happening.
Yeah.
So you always see the other dugout and those guys come out and watch. That's pretty amazing. A swing and a miss and a strikeout for Myers. So 2 outs and a runner at first. And we all love the game and, you know, take it in. Here's Jeff McNeil, who homered his first time up. Also a single today. He's had a good spring. That's a new pitch for Myers, and that's a curveball, primarily fastball, slider, and he's mixed in this curveball, and it started literally at the final appearance last year at Wrigley Field. They called down to the bullpen, and Mike Maddox said, I'll bring you into a game, but when I bring you in, you're going to throw a curveball nonstop. And he said, okay.
Whatever you say.
There's the curveball and a base hit. Past Drew Robinson. Wong out of the game now.
It's another good wrinkle for him, though, because Mike Myers throws everything so hard. And if you can bring that in, it's another very good look as we see this one here. Breaking ball just kind of hangs up there a little bit longer. But the one previous had a little bit more bite to it. Still got the ground ball. Only 4 curveballs thrown in 2018 in that one outing. Bring it out. Sometimes all it takes for a hitter also, I mean, you have your scouting reports and you know your tendencies, but a lot of times when you're warming up and you show the sign for breaking ball, then you snap one off during warm-ups before that batter's about to get in. It's in the back of the head. It's registered, and it's something else that they're worried about.
Hit down the right field line, and that'll slice foul and out of play. Tyler O'Neill, as we mentioned earlier, in right field, one of the changes for the Cardinals. Alonso at the plate, inside. Mike Myers this time last year emerged coming out of the bullpen. Used game 1 against the Mets and then not used after that. Shallow right center. Bader covers an awful lot of ground with that good speed. Makes the catch. Scoreless frame put up by Mike Myers. 13-5. Well, how about that? The guy that we always talk about offense, he's the only one without a hit. He's 0 for 5, but everybody else, they've chipped in, and the Cardinals 1 hit shy of 20. They got 19 today.
This is a nice sight, isn't it? And I got a feeling Jose Martinez is going to get plenty of hits throughout the season. He got plenty of them last year. Nice to see this, though, the last couple of days as we see Sean Burnett take the bump.
This is a former top pick, and the Mets wanted to give him a shot. And one of the reasons that they did this was to, if he didn't make the club, let him work with minor leaguers. He's been through a lot in his career. Talk to the minor leaguers. Explain what he's been through. And here's Tyler O'Neill. O'Neill has made the club. 9 home runs in 61 games last year. He's got 4 down here, rather 5 home runs here in this spring. So he'll provide some thump off the bench.
Big time.
Quite a threat.
And just like with Jose Martinez, I mean, the bat's going to play. They're going to force ABs, and that's the type of problem a manager wants, is how do I get all of these guys playing time? How do I get them all ABs? Specifically a guy like Tyler O'Neill, who he's used to playing all the time. He's used to getting everyday AB. So that will be a little bit of an adjustment. I think that's where you lean on some of your veteran teammates too, is, hey, how do I prepare for this role? How do I do this where I'm not the everyday guy? But he's so dangerous. It's one mistake and he's putting it over the fence. That's a great guy to have coming off the bench and being able to play anywhere in the outfield for you as well.
In the air near the Cardinal bullpen, and it drops in, and a fair ball, and O'Neill has a double, and it's hit number 20 for the Cardinals. I think the Mets just gave up on that ball.
Yeah, kind of took that one for granted right there. Tyler O'Neill didn't. He was he got on his horse as he saw that thing coming down.
And you'll take it.
Of course you'll take it. He's hit a bunch of home runs, and I don't know what exactly he was seeing over there in right field, but it wasn't the ball.
Here's Evan Mendoza. And a ball. So O'Neill at second base. 20 hits for the Cardinals. Been a rough day for the Mets. They've committed 3 errors and they trail 13-5. Alex Reyes getting loose in the Cardinal pen. Yeah, there was some talk if he was going to move to the bullpen, would Alex Reyes potentially be a closer? There's options out there.
There are options. With Reyes, it's hard to have a closer that hasn't pitched back-to-back days before.
Exactly.
Where you're, right. You've got to watch out for stuff like that. That's not to say that there's not going to be a game where he gets the 9th inning. Maybe things just set up perfectly where he's the guy. I think there will be some mixing and matching. You'll certainly see Hicks down there.
Yeah, this is more about work, but this is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just in general, though, down the stretch.
It's Brian Eversgerd holding that walkie-talkie. Not bullpen phones here. It's walkie-talkies.
What's your walkie-talkie etiquette? Do you say over when you're signing off? Or,
that's a good point. I don't know. We need to find that out.
And what if the sentence ends in over? Do you have to do another over? Like, is that how that works? I don't know.
Well, you should know. You were down there.
It's like, all right, next inning, Ray is going to take over. Over. Do you have to do the double over? Like, I wonder. I was never in charge of
you should know. You were a bullpen
Yeah, but
guy.
I wasn't in charge of that.
But
Copy.
you were standing there, and you should have understood that.
Yeah. I don't know. We used to just have signals. You know, it's like mine was the get the sinker ball guy going.
Davis going back in the corner, and he makes the catch. O'Neill will tag up.
Tell you what, very nice play right there after not getting to Tyler O'Neill's ball. That thing caught up in the wind a little bit. He had to travel quite a ways to get this thing. I don't know. We're going to get to the bottom of this walkie-talkie situation, though.
Over.
Roger.
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 Right. And that's hit foul. Johan Mesis. Where's number 30 for the St. Louis Cardinals? High chopper. Glove, long throw on a hop. Got him. And O'Neill stayed put.
You see O'Neill here just trying to get a read on this. He sees the big hop. He just realized it ain't going to happen for him.
And so now Carlson from the other side of the plate, the switch hitter. Singled up the middle. First time up. The 2-0. And he walked him, so runners at first and third. Andrew Kisner. And the shadows nearly becoming a factor at home plate. Andrew Kisner, I've seen him swing the bat. He can
hit.
He can hit, and it's all about maturation behind the plate defensively. And Kisner with a high fly ball into deep center field, and it's off the top of the wall. One run is in, and here comes another, and Kisner almost with a 3-run homer. He drives in 2, and the Cardinals add 2 more. 15-5.
Well, everywhere that Andrew Kisner has been throughout his young career, he's been able to hit. He's been swinging it. We've seen it in spring training so far, and he just gets one center cut and takes it for a ride. This thing about a foot away from getting out, if that. It's nice to see. Comes on late. Yadier Molina played a lot of this game. Kisner waiting for that opportunity and gets it. And he'll have himself quite a staff down there at AAA to be working with.
Yeah. Drew Robinson, Cardinals, as we've talked about, still with decisions, and now Robinson hit by the pitch, so he'll take first base. You could see a scenario in which both Carpenter and Jerko stay back here and just start, you know, hopping from field to field in which tickets are not sold, which could complicate the injured list. If you're in a game that tickets are sold, then it
starts retroactive from that date.
Correct, on the injured list.
Yeah.
So
but
get them as many at bats as you can, and get their timing and their,
for sure,
you know, whatever they can going, and get them in there in Milwaukee, or whenever you can, as quickly as you can.
Yeah, Matt Carpenter has talked about with his that he said if it was the middle of the season, he'd play through it. But it's one of those situations where right now you have time and you don't have to play through stuff. So you might as well take it a little bit easy, get your ABs on the backfield, which I'm sure he'll be doing over the next couple of days, get your reps in, and then be ready for opening day. And hopefully the same is to be said for Jed Jerko, who's been dealing with the calf. Been swinging it, but who knows how that thing's feeling.
Tommy Edman was looking for a 5-hit day. 4 for 6, though, not too shabby. 15-5. Alex Reyes, bottom of the 9th, 10-run lead. Little tune-up before we head north, and this will be his appearance, in which they're now trying to get him going a little bit more than, you know, spreading him out, say, every third or fourth day. This is now you're trying to get him a little bit closer.
Get a day off.
Yeah.
Get in the ball game again. And I know that it kind of sounds weird, but it's different. He's used to pitching every 5th day. He's used to having that routine in between. And that's going to be a part of this year for Alex Reyes out of the pen. And once again, we don't know what could happen down the stretch. Maybe he finds himself in the rotation. But until then, it's finding a new routine. And that's where you lean on some of those veterans out in the bullpen, too. Like, hey, what do you do? How do you keep yourself ready? How do you get your workouts in? When do you get your workouts in? And then kind of figuring out what you need throughout the season. But it's very apparent that the Cardinals need that arm as part of their bullpen, and he's going to be there.
J.J. Franco pops it up into right, and there's O'Neill. Top prospects for the Cardinals in this 2019 season. Spring training, and Alex Reyes again, #1. We've seen a lot of Gorman and Kisner and Hudson, Montero, Torres, Nunez, Carlson, Thomas, and Cabrera.
I got a feeling that Alex Reyes is tired of being on that list. He is sick of being a prospect. I think one more big league out, he'll lose that.
Yeah, and he's talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
He said, I've had enough of that stuff.
It's always great to talk about the future and how bright it is, but for him, it's right here. It's right now.
The velocity with Reyes has consistently been 96 to 98 down here. And the slider, curveball, changeup, good stuff.
Yeah, he has got that arsenal, and that slider was something that he was really excited about last year as he was making his way back through the minor leagues rehabbing. It was a pitch that he thought brings him to the next level.
Tomas Nido at the plate. And a soft liner to short. 2 away. Reminder, we're on the air tomorrow. Noon. We'll be in West Palm Beach. Miles Michaelis. Max Scherzer. I don't care if you're playing in Max's backyard and, you know, he's 60 years old. He'll still be intense. And he's, you know, playing for peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's going to get after you.
That's what he is.
Good breaking ball and fooled everybody. Ahmed Rosario at the plate. I mean, that guy is intense. So that'll be fun tomorrow to watch those two go at it. Miles Michaelis and now Steven Strasburg mentioned.
Still great.
So we thought it was going to be Scherzer, didn't we?
Things change.
Ground ball hit to short. That'll do it. Reyes 1, 2, 3, 9.
Game over. Over.
10-4. I'm working with you.
Yeah.
Roger that. Wrap it up in a moment. Big day for the Cardinals.